Red is on.
Okay, today being August 31st, 2017, what's the time? 4:50 something?
Yep.
Let this meeting of the Tilton Board of Selectmen now come to order. Please let the record show that Peter is not with us this evening, but I'm sure he'll be joining us next week. Let's stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. We got some minutes.
Do we have payroll and everything?
It's down here by John.
He's hoarding it.
As usual.
All right, let's get through the minutes. 2000, yeah, right. August 10th? All right, let's see.
Can you please explain to me what, on page 1, the last sentence where it says total amount financed will be $76,400 for the equipment and $10,900 for the trailer, or $90,400, and then it just kind of says Tim has reviewed the numbers.
The 90,400 is correct. So the I believe it was 79,500, and then the 10,900. Those are the two numbers. So the first number is incorrect. The 76,400.
Say that one more time.
The first number, and this is, I should have caught that because I reviewed this.
So
The first number should be 79,500.
okay. So then it should probably read, the total amount financed will be $79,500 for the equipment and $10,900 for the trailer, for a total of $90,400.
That's correct.
So can we correct that or, the comma and then or, because it suggests that there's something after that, or maybe we'll spend $90,000. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we have to correct that 76 to 79.5.
Right.
On the second page, Selectman Scanlon moved, seconded by Selectman Fogg, on the equipment purchase, but we don't have an outcome of what that vote was.
Where's that again, I'm sorry?
Excuse me?
Where is that again?
Top of the second page, after discussion.
Okay. To trade the rubber for that rubber tractor and okay, thank you. All in favor, motion carried. Thank you.
Couple paragraphs down, starts Selectman Dawson. Second to the last sentence, I think it says Mr. Power will work
Okay.
with the Public Works Director. Must be in place before installation in any cutting of pavement.
So he must talk with Mr. Powell, the conversation must have taken place prior to any installation and any cutting of pavement, is what we spoke about.
Must be in place before.
I think the memorandum of understanding must be signed.
A signed memorandum of understanding that Mr. Power will work with Public Works Director must be in place.
Yeah,
So it's saying a signed memorandum must be in place.
must be in place. Did we ever resolve that with Mr. Shaley?
Now,
I don't
remember, this is the 10th.
Right,
The
but
next one- the next one is the 17th, which resolves it.
and did we resolve it then?
Yeah.
I just didn't remember.
We
Yes.
did, but we didn't hear, we
Like
just
John
asked.
said, it's been so long.
I know.
How's it going down at the town garage with the purple bags?
Haven't heard a thing.
It must
Can
be
we
good.
find out for before next Thursday? Everybody all set with the minutes?
I just hit, hold on one sec.
Hmm?
Hold on. Can we, under Selectman Constantino, can we please put in, up for the future, somebody that's gonna read this from 5 years from now, can we put in Senior Center Executive Committee member Judy Souza-Dellis?
If you can spell that for me.
S-U, Z as in zebra, E-D-E-L-I-S.
Thank you.
So I'll make the motion to accept as amended.
I'll second that.
All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Page 1, under approval of minutes. Onions? Instead of 1875 in? Is it called 1875 in?
After adding more information.
The restaurant is Onions.
Right. But I thought 1875 was Johanna Oliver's name for the inn.
Don't, I think.
Just check, whatever
I
it-
think Onions is the restaurant.
Onions is a restaurant.
Correct. And 1875 Inn is the inn.
Is it still called
I'll
that?
double check, yes.
Okay, just double check, thank you. Of course, everybody still calls it the Tilton Inn.
Tilton Hilton.
I've heard some call it the Dodge Inn.
I can put the owners of Onions.
No, just make sure that's what the name is.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't quite know how to word it, but I do know that there was quite a lengthy discussion with the officers on the PD dispatch discussion. I don't know if you remember hearing that when you played it back.
There wasn't anything to play back.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So, okay. I think that one of the things that I mentioned was that for as long as I've been a selectman, that's been my number one complaint, is having to re-enter the data. So for the evening officers that dispatch from Belknap, because it's not downloading. And I don't see any of that in here.
A little bit on the bottom of page 2, when the chief talked about them not being data entry clerks. Top of page 3. I can expand on that if you need to.
No, I'm good with that. I read these earlier, I missed that part. Make a motion to accept the minutes as corrected.
Second. All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, abstains, motion carries. Mr. Finance Director minus the Public Works Director.
All right.
Tim, it's so nice to see you up here.
Yes. For another time, right?
Oh,
Yeah, I was up here in the...
well, just...
Twice.
I know, twice in a year?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
All right, so first of all, I haven't had a chance to email this to you all yet. I was busier than a one-arm paper hanger today, so this entire week, as a matter of fact. But in your to-be-signed folder, which looks like John's going through right now, is the financing paperwork for all the highway equipment, and that's for the net $90,400. You'll also see in the accounts payable manifest, there's a check to Chapel Tractor for the same amount, $90,400. So that completes our purchase for the loader, the excavator, and the trailer. Okay. So,
Okay.
and I believe they're all marked. I'll check through it after you all
What about
sign
the
it.
other purchase that you...
And also, the board had approved the chair to sign the cruiser financing paperwork.
Mhm.
So she did that today, and that's all complete. In fact, we're supposed to take delivery of it, I think either today or tomorrow. So,
And then it's got to go have its stuff.
yeah, it's scheduled already. They have it scheduled to go into Ospey Mountain immediately, or first the sign shop for the
Yeah.
lettering, then Ospey Mountain. And the MDT for that vehicle should be in, I think we scheduled it for Tuesday of next week. So after it's done with the lettering and Ospey Mountain, it'll have the MDT installed. It'll be ready to go.
The new trailers, do they have the capacity to have cameras in them? Are those the ones that have the cameras in them?
The new trailers.
The new police trailers that you got with the grant money?
Oh, yeah, that does, it has a solar panel, it has traffic count, and I can't recall if that one had the camera or not. Some of the ones we looked at did, I just don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, that is an option for them to have cameras installed in them as well. So, in any event, so the primary reason for my coming to you tonight is to talk to you about cruiser equipment. And in particular, the mobile data terminals, or MDTs, which is really one of the most important parts of the cruiser for an officer, because they're able to check to see if there are any outstanding warrants for anyone that they stop. They're able to see if there's any any information armed and dangerous or what have you. Be on the lookout. Everything can come through this MDT. They use the new ones extensively, and they've been very reliable, the Patrol PC. So we have one currently installed in the 17A cruiser, which is our first 2017 cruiser. The cruiser we're picking up at the end of this week is also a 2017, so that will be known as 2017B. That one is getting the Patrol PC, which was paid for by the Emergency Management Performance Grant. So we will have two completely taken care of. It's the other three that I'd like to get approved to purchase. Right now, we've been approved for a highway safety grant for up to $2,000 for each MDT, and it covers up to 50% of the cost, but these MDTs are more expensive than that when you factor in all the equipment that goes along with them. So the tablet, the roof-mounted antennas, which give them better range, all the mounting systems, which I know that the three of you have seen. I don't know actually if you've seen, been in the cruiser to see the new system.
I've been in the cruiser. I don't know
in the 17, it's in the newest one.
I don't know which one I was in.
Okay, but it really is been a very good system. We've had very little trouble with it. Very reliable, and most importantly, the coverage has been really great with them. What we've suffered with in the past has been the lack of internet coverage at certain times in town, or the difficulty of maintaining internet coverage with the computers that were purchased before me and installed in these cars that I've maintained all along. But it's a weak link, which is a USB connection. So you basically have the cars bouncing around, and no matter what you do, whether you duct tape them, you get special connectors to make the USB stronger connection, no matter what you do, invariably they will loosen and come apart or lose the connection intermittently. And that's been one of the biggest problems that we've had. Not the only problem. What's that?
Which one?
Well, that's with any of the ones we have now, because in three of the cruisers we've got a Havas display. So it's basically a tablet that's mounted into the console of the car.
Which rolls out, right?
Well, no. So those are fixed. So those are in place of where the radio and the heater controls and all that would be. And I think they're about 15, maybe 18 inches tall by maybe 12 inches wide or so. And those are simply a display to a computer that's running in the trunk of the car, or in the utility vehicles, it's on the side of the car in the trunk area. And so you have the computer back there, and you have the Verizon Air card back there, and the connection of those two is just very difficult sometimes over time, especially when you have potholes, the hard braking or taking off very fast, things like that. It's just made it very difficult. In the 17A, which has the Patrol PC, we've not had any of those problems. And the range has been fantastic because it has a roof-mounted antenna that is installed along with the system, and their cabling is just state-of-the-art. I mean, there's no way.
The cabling in the 17A.
Well, it's all Patrol PC's cabling too. So you have what would look like this stainless steel container, but it's not as thick as that. But it's a very rigid cabling system that they utilize, and it's within a sheath. And in the past, we've been plagued by people unplugging things, thinking there's something wrong, so they unplug it and they plug it in somewhere else. And so there have been a myriad of problems that we've had in the past with the existing laptops in the cruisers. So this is an effort to really make that move and go one step further. Plus, the old systems don't have license plates or driver's license scanners, and they're very limited in what we're going to be able to do with mobile printers, which is one of the other items I want to talk to you about tonight. So what we're faced with is we can get to net it all out, there's about $16,000 worth of equipment that I'd like approval to buy, of which we'll get $6,000 back through the highway safety grant. So our net cost would be about $10,700, and that would take care of 2 of the existing vehicles we have, and then the 2018 vehicle that we would get next year. And if for some reason that 2018 vehicle isn't approved, we can put that and install it in the 2014A, which is another marked vehicle. So, but the grant match is only good through the end of September. So that's the problem with this and the printers that I'm going to talk to you about tonight. So we'd have to act quickly.
The 10,000 would right now get us a new one in 1 car.
3, actually 3. It would pay for 3. So 1 would be a full mount install, which would be for the 2018. 1 would be a rear mount install, which would work with the Havas, and that would go in the 2015A, which is our utility-looking vehicle, but it's not the new one. It's the older one. And then
Wouldn't those vehicles be the ones that need it the most?
Yes.
They don't have it?
They don't have that. They have, the 2015 has just a laptop in the rear of the vehicle, along with the air card attached via USB. The third one would be just a tablet only and be used primarily by the detectives. And they don't want to have any mounting in the detectives' vehicles, and because it's a tablet, it can be moved from vehicle to vehicle. So they can use it in their undercover car, or they can use it in their primary detective's vehicle too. So, and then that also can be repurposed, and the mounting can be added to it, and it can be used in a cruiser, for that matter, if down the road the determination was made, we don't need one for the detectives, we want to put this in a cruiser. That's the majority of the expense, is what's in that tablet. The rest of it is what's added onto it, the mounting hardware, the external antennas, the installation, things of that sort. So we're able to pay for a full price one, similar to what we're putting in the car next week, which would be for next year's vehicle, or the 2014A. We're able to put a rear mount in the 2015, and the reason why we can't put a front mount in is because the Havas is there, and it will obstruct where the system could go. So we'd have to put it in the back. The mounting is a little bit different for that, but if we ever decided we wanted to put that in a new Frontline cruiser, we'd just buy the mounting kit for it and put it in a Frontline cruiser. So if for some reason a vehicle was out of service for a while, and there was a period where we had a new vehicle T-boned within 2 weeks of ownership, and it was out for 4 months, 5 months. So in a case like that, we can take the tablets out, we can use them in something else. So there's a lot of flexibility with them. But this is, and we're going to have to do something one way or the other. We're going to have to replace the systems in these older cars. These are 5-year-old systems now. And, as of March of this next year, they'll be 5 years old.
What happens with the systems that we're replacing?
In some cases, they've got some, they're being held together with duct tape in some cases. One has a defect in the screen, but it's not important because we use the Havas as the display. So the actual laptop screen itself has a strip going down the middle, which...
So is there any resale value, or are they garbage?
Oh, no, there's no resale value from that standpoint. They're
duct tape together.
Well, they're bouncing around in cars for 5 years. I mean, it's a lot of...
The mounting was very poor, and I pointed that out.
The original...
Did you say every 5 years or
Did you
something?
see the mounting?
Horrible.
I think it's something to plan on. Yeah, that there's a useful life, because there may be new things that we'll be doing at that point in time that we don't think of now that might require faster technology. But these are all field upgradable too. So the company's been terrific with support and warranty work.
What can these do that the ones we have now can do?
So well, first of all, they work. consistently
As in?
work.
We're
Reliable.
Well, in other words, they're reliable.
As in-
They are online all the time. And in particular, the air coverage that we get. So we use Verizon Wireless for when they're communicating with the state police data. So they pull somebody over, they're looking up information on that car they just pulled over. In some areas of town with the air cards, the little air cards, they have trouble connecting. Or if there's a loose connection, sometimes it'll connect, sometimes it won't, and sometimes they'll have to jiggle it or they'll have to call me. And that's been an intermittent issue over a period of time. That doesn't happen every day. It might happen several times a month. But the cruisers, because it's just like anything else that's moving around and bouncing around, it's difficult to keep them fully operational. The other laptops, there are some others that could be used for other things where the screens are still good. They're just
Do you'll salvage what you can, but
Oh,
most of it
absolutely.
is garbage.
Yeah, and for that matter, even the one that has the bad screen, we can just keep that closed up as a clam and put a display, keyboard, and mouse on it, and still use it. They're i5 processors, so they're not they're just early generation.
Okay.
So in any event, what my plan is to use the special detail fund to pay for this. So the $10,700 or $800 that we need out of that $16,000 total, we would use that out of that fund. And we have more than enough money in there right now. We have over $40,000 in the special detail fund, more than enough to make all of our commitments for the next year, plus this $10,700. And
Plus your next proposal?
plus the next proposal, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve the
That's more
expenditures.
questions
I know, but, okay, the motion is for discussion, so I just want to get it out there. I haven't stopped. I make a motion that we approve the expenditure of 3 patrol PC mobile data terminals in order to make use of the highway safety grant and to pay for the balance out of the police special duty fund.
My only concern is, so.
A second.
Oh, second.
All
Getting
right,
more specific.
discussion,
What-
please.
Yeah, I have them all
Not the
listed.
names, but are they
I always forget.
the SUVs?
Yes,
All
so
of them?
I have them listed out here in my report. So the 2015A, that's one of the SUVs. That's the oldest SUV we have. And then one would be earmarked for next year's SUV. And then one would be earmarked for the detectives,
Okay.
which would be a tablet only, yeah. And if for some reason we don't get a car next year, that can be put into 2014A, which is a sedan, which is the marked sedan.
John, you had some questions?
One would only get the computer unit in the rear, and we'd be using the Mavis screen.
The Havas, yeah, that's
Havas
correct.
screen.
That's the
Be tied in.
2015A, yep.
I'll be tied into that, and that's compatible with that.
Yes, yep. And it has, it's a different mounting for the rear, but it's specifically made by Patrol PC for a rear mount in a car like that.
How about the scanner for that?
The scanner, so are you moving on to the printer?
No,
section
the
there?
scanner for that setup, because
Yep,
this screen scanner setup, so how?
right. So it would be in the back. So in my next item, I had earmarked a scanner as part of another highway safety grant, which could be used for the 2015 and the 2014A.
And that would be to read the driver's
License, yes.
barcode.
That's right.
And everything would be coming out of the regular expenses, doesn't come out of our budget, it comes out of the special reserve
Right.
account.
Nothing would come out of the operating budget at all.
And we have enough time for the hearings? Hearing?
Well, well, so there's two ways of handling that. One is the board had approved allocating equipment, replacement equipment and parts for cars back in, I'm trying to think when that was, that was May or June of this year.
Well, we purchased a cruiser.
That's right. So I think that was in May when that was done. And the public hearing that was held at the time was also to pay for items needed for the cruisers. So I believe that motion would, and that public hearing that no one attended, would cover this as well.
Could we have the public hearing anyway and still have enough time?
We only need one public hearing, right?
Yeah, it
So
would,
we could have it next week?
presumably, yeah. It would,
We posted it tonight? Joyce, do we have to have 10 days for a public hearing?
No, 7, not counting the date of the,
So if we posted it tonight,
well, yeah, because I could get it in the Coney Daily Sun.
put it on the website?
yeah, we can do that.
Just-
If we agree to do this, and
Right.
Is there a limit on the grant, on the amount of,
We were approved up to 5,
up to 5?
Yeah.
Okay. And
so
you-
$10,000.
You're going to utilize all
Oh, so
5?
they
3,
accept the money.
just 3. So,
So if we're going to need, if we have, what's the ratio, percentage that the grant is covering?
well, the way the grant's worded is 50% up to $2,000 maximum. So in effect, depending upon how the unit is configured, one of them comes close to 50%, but doesn't hit it, and the others are less than 50%. In other words, the full boat system is $6,300, so less the $2,000, we're still going to pay.
We can only go up to $10,000, which we've maxed out.
No.
We
We're
could buy
getting
more.
$6,000 from them. We could have gone up to 10,000. That's what I'm.
we could have bought more, but
I'm
we'd
kin-
only have older cruisers to put them in, or would you keep them on the shelf?
Exactly my thought. I'm just trying to think of why I'm taking
technology.
advantage of
Keep it on a shelf.
the other
Keep it in the dumpster.
$4,000 if we have $10,000 worth of equipment grant money that we could acquire and utilize the grant money.
Well, partly because with a total of 5 of these systems, when you look at the history of how many frontline cruisers we have, supervisor vehicle, and detectives, we have not, in the past, we haven't met that. I mean, we have 5 laptops right now, but in talking with, in fact, the discussion with the PD was 4 or 5 total, and I felt it was important to go for the 5 and make use of that third item.
Any more
So-
questions? Discussion?
Back to the public hearing, are we having it, do we need to have it, and what's it for?
Well, once we vote on it, if we approve the expenditure, then we'll need the public hearing. We haven't voted on it.
Okay, but didn't you vote on accepting the money?
We did it already. I don't think it's necessary for the public hearing again.
I don't think we're
I don't think it
specific
is-
on
As
this.
long as you do it in a meeting.
Yeah, we had a meeting to
It
expend.
isn't going to hurt anything
No, it
to
won't. You're right, it
have
won't.
another one.
All right, well, do you want it published in the paper?
What was the requirement, that we just notice it?
We just noticed it, right?
Is it over $10,000?
It's receiving $6,000 of grant money
No.
No, it's the taking of 10,781
The
out of
revolving
the revolving fund.
out of the detail fund.
Or
So
the
the
detail.
amendment at town meeting,
Oh, that, no, we haven't published in the paper, have we?
no, we
No,
can
we just
put it in the
posted.
kiosk, and we can put it on the website.
Sure.
Okay, then if we put it on the website tonight, we're covered.
Well, and also, this will save taxpayers money, because
Yes, it will.
it is something we are going to need to either budget for or pay for this way. One way or the other, we're going to have to expend money to replace these.
Any more
I call a
discussion?
question.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. So we'll need a public hearing.
Okay, so the next item is related to this. It is also a highway safety grant, and it's for the purchase of e-ticket printers.
Now, that's the,
These are,
they've stopped me, and they're gonna give me a ticket right then and there,
Right
and
then
they
and
print it
there.
in the machine.
And if you have other violations outstanding, those will print out too. And
Very nice.
Oh yeah, so
No hiding from the e-ticket?
no hiding from the e-ticket. It allows them to do a lot of different things. The units themselves are about $700 each. It's a kit, which the state has specified, which types of printers you have to use and which kits. So this is one of them. There's 5 that we want to purchase, and I've listed out the systems that they would go into. So there's $3,500 of printers, and then $600 of scanners. The 2 scanners would be used for the cars where we don't have the driver's license reader up front in the vehicle, where it's in the rear of the vehicle. So on one of the tablets, as you pointed out. So in any event, there's a total of $4,100 that we would receive in grant money, and we would have to expend $1,425, which are for these, for lack of a better term, a headrest box, if you will. So it's basically a hollowed-out headrest made specifically for these printers, and it fits right in the headrest holes, and it has a pad on the outside. So when they go to print something, they flip up the top, and they can print right there, and then close it back up.
And the headrest still meets safety standards for...
Is that
Yep,
the passenger's headrest?
The passenger's headrest,
Okay.
right? And yeah, and
I'm riding in the back here on a...
it is it's what has been recommended
Okay.
by Highway Safety. This is a federal program. These monies are federal monies, but it's passed through the Highway Safety grant. So we would have to spend $1,425 out of the detail fund for the 5 headrests, but that will be our match for the 5 printers and the 2 scanners.
So we're going to spend $1,425, and they're going to give us $4,100?
Yes. Well, we're gonna spend $5,525, and they're gonna give us back $4,100. That's the way it works. But do you follow?
No.
In other words, we have to expend the money up front, and we get
I
repaid.
see in here that we have $4,100 of cost for the tickets, things, and the scanners. And the most logical match are the headrest mounts, 5 times $285 for $1,425.
Correct.
So which do we pay?
We actually pay the combination of those 2 up front, and when we provide documentation that we've complied with the grant, we get $4,100 back.
Okay, so they're just not going to pay us for the headrest mounts.
That's right. The grant won't cover that.
I move
Okay.
that we approve the expenditure of 5 mobile e-ticket printers, 2 mobile scanners, and 5 headrest mounts in order to make the use of the federal grant and to pay the balance out of the police special detail fund.
Second. Any more discussion?
Yes, who's installing them? What additional cabling and software is needed for?
The kit comes with the cabling. I believe Captain Martin said that OSPI would install them, so there may be an additional charge to install them. He was not aware of how much that was going to be, but the kit includes all the right, exactly. So it doesn't sound like it was a big thing, but he didn't know the details of that, but felt it was minor. And again, this is one of these that we have to expend by September 30th in order to qualify for it.
So as part of the purchasing the equipment, installing them, as part of the equipment, can that also be taken out of the detail fund?
Yes, yes, it could.
Can we find out how much that amount is so we can add it to our public hearing?
Yes, yep.
And that's the installation, because the computer's going to be in the back, so everything's got to run cabling all to the back.
Well, and it depends, because some of them will be in the front, some will be in the back. But these printers are Bluetooth printers, so it may not require a physical cable between the system.
Just power.
Just power, yeah.
What about the equipment up above? that we just ordered, is that gonna have an installation cost?
That's included.
That's
Yeah,
included, okay.
it's included in the prices.
Paper supplies, toners or ribbons, and all that. Is that going to be cost?
Yeah, those will be additional costs down the road. I'm not exactly sure what the rollout timetable is. I know I believe there's some agencies that are using it now. I think the state's been using it as well, state police. But those we would charge under supplies.
I know we had a really expensive to print parking tickets, was it? Those are
Oh, those are expensive.
Yeah.
But if you recall, what we used to pay, almost $2,000, Lisa Ozier did a great job in researching and finding the same kind of quality tickets, and I think the total cost was in the $600 range. So she saved a lot of money, because we had originally budgeted a lot more, anticipating we were going to have to bite the bullet and buy those. But in the future, if this is the way the tickets will be done, then we won't have that cost ongoing once these, once it's underway.
So these tickets, this hasn't actually gone into effect yet, so why wouldn't we want to do this next year and put it on the budget next year and
Sure.
get these grants every year?
That's a great question. Well, and so the word in the grant community is, because this is so well funded, they're not sure that this is going to be around next year. That we've been approved for up to $4,500 in this particular grant, but it's unlikely that we would see the same kind of grant come through next year, or at least that kind of match. Maybe next year might be a match of half that or something. Usually what Captain Martin told me is in the past he's seen where the first year where they're trying to get everybody to do it, they make it very easy money-wise. And then for those later adopters, it usually tails off because there's usually one big push. And this has happened before with various types of equipment and things that the state or federal government was really wanting local agencies to get into. So his impression, because I asked the same question of him, his impression was, maybe we'd only be approved for one or two in the future, or the amount of money would just be so much less that we'd have to pay the lion's share of it. So it seemed for $1,400 net cost that it was a pretty decent deal.
I guess my concern was that it's something that we can't really use for a while, and that we're going to be stocking up on technology that we think that they're going to be turning on in the future.
I believe the purpose of this is because they...
the ball.
Well,
All of a sudden they say, no, you're going to use this other system we gave a contract.
To do that.
Yeah, I think we are.
It's a matter of getting them trained to it, I believe.
And also, the reason why this grant is so well funded right now is because they're trying to get all local agencies to adopt it, so that everybody's pretty much in the same boat with this. So, no, I don't think it's a distant purchase by any stretch. No, I think this is really imminent.
Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
The last two things I just wanted to apprise you of is that everything has been sent off for the audit. There was one remaining thing that Joyce was kind enough to finish up for our actuarial consultant that's required for some of the GASB reporting, the Government Accounting Standards Board. And once he completes his work, he'll have it to our auditor, and our auditor will provide us with a draft copy for us to be able to review, and then there'll be a management and board attestation letter basically saying that everything we've provided them to the best of our knowledge is accurate and represents the activity of the town. So once we have that, I'll be sure to forward that off to you so you can look through it. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to go through it with any of you. So that's about all I have. And the budget, we're doing very well. We're on time. Joyce is or has notified the boards and committees of the deadline for budget submissions. And I've met with just about all the department heads, and will, by tomorrow afternoon, have completed that. And there's some things that we're waiting on from some outside groups, outside of the outside agencies, but things like, our household hazardous waste days, things like that are in some of our departmental budgets that may take some time to get, but those will be forthcoming.
Did we notify the boards and commissions by email?
I'm going to do that tomorrow morning and send an email.
Can you send it in such a way that it requires a response to you?
I have that capability now, don't I?
Yes, you do.
All right.
Yep.
Yes, I can.
All right, that way if they say they didn't get it, we'll know they did
Right.
or didn't.
Right. Great.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, we still have time before our public hearing at 6 o'clock.
We have to address the letter from Doug.
I think so. I think it's just really an FYI. You're talking about the flail mower?
Oh, you did, okay.
I thought he wanted us to make a decision.
Okay, let me just...
Tim, is this letter from Brock, is this just an FYI, or does he want us to make a decision?
When I spoke to him earlier,
I don't know, there's three things you got from Brock.
he had more.
The flail mower.
Oh, no, he wants you to wait until he can talk to
Right.
you. You don't have to make a decision tonight.
I spoke to Brock earlier in the day, and he had invitations from people with different type of flail mower or brush cutters that he was going to try out before he makes the final decision on.
Did anybody take a ride up past Veterans Home where they did the trimming with the flail mower and see the damage and what it looks like?
At my house, you mean?
Yeah.
That's
not-
flail mower.
It's not pretty.
The Conservation Commission,
I got
don't mean to speak on that, but Chuck and Kathy stopped me this afternoon and said that they were really concerned with the flail mower and the purchase of the flail mower because of the damage that, well, not the damage, because of if you cut it and if there's Japanese knotweed in it or
purple loose stripe.
Purple loose strife and
loose strife in it, it'll just take off like crazy,
All over it.
and now you're compounding the issue. It's not,
And what's the other option? They don't
do it by hand, and
Is
then,
it-
Well-
and then taking care of the Japanese knotweed with
So-
chemicals.
we could, if we decide it makes sense to buy a roadside mower, flail or brush hog, whatever, they can certainly, they should go to a course and learn invasive species because there's a ton of them on them all over. There's a ton of them. We have them all over Riverfront Park, unfortunately. And if they went along with it, they would have to know when to stop and mark it and have, crew ready to do it by hand.
We had
So,
said to spring out a letter to the Public Works Department that Paul Rushlow, who does our pesticides and herbicides, that before he did any trimming on the sides of the roads, that they would contact him and he'd go do a drive-by and check on it. He's never been called once.
because I don't think they've done much roadside trimming, have they?
have.
Yeah.
Oh, have they?
Oh, yeah.
So we
Quite a
gave
bit.
them a directive that they didn't, was that a directive or a suggestion?
It was I believe it was a suggestion. We asked Brock to do
But
it.
if they're doing it by hand now, does
They
that
still
make a
need to
difference?
know. yes.
They still need to know.
Yeah. So things like Japanese knotweed, if you cut it, you don't leave it lying there. Purple loose strife,
One leaf
Yeah.
from a Japanese knotweed, it's like milfoil. If
Timber.
that stays on a piece of equipment and goes to another part of town, then that will, within like 2 years, will turn into a huge
So
infestation.
what would he do, mark it or treat
Treat it.
it?
He would treat it
That would be great if we wouldn't have to train them if we had somebody to go out.
And that was the idea.
So Brock is going to be in next week, I believe. Can we remember to have this discussion of invasive species with him?
Yeah.
That's
And-
why
Okay,
it's
that's a
not,
good idea.
why it's not
Find out
happening.
why not, and then maybe then we'll talk about making it a directive or some sort of directive.
And,
It is a problem. I suddenly have a clump of Japanese knotweed where there wasn't any before.
it's from,
Yeah.
carried over from
Yeah.
lawn equipment and things like that.
So-
The other thing was specifically which roads would we be using that on?
Did you hear that, Gail? Can we
I-
get that from Brock?
I know a flail mower is usually used for up to like 4-inch trees. I think we might be more looking at trying to get a brush hog on a boom that does
Well-
a much neater job and doesn't, and then the things that are 4 inches should be cut.
Cut.
Because that wouldn't be every year, it would be,
Once you cut it, it's
once you
done,
cut it, it's
right?
gonna come back as the stuff I brush.
Keep up with it.
So if you think of the roads in the town of Tilton, and I was going to save this for Brock, but since you're bringing it up, in the village area, they're town roads, except for Route 3. But you really wouldn't use a brush hog or a trimmer like that. So School Street, Class 2 State Aid Road, all the roads out there, I can't think of one that's a town road except for Dunlop. Maybe Jacob. I can't think of another one. Oh, the housing development where Overlook is.
Bridge, Patricia Ann.
Yep, so those little roads are town roads. But Windsor's private, isn't that the trailer park?
No, Windsor is, no, is it Windsor, the one where Hawkins lives? Where
No,
Windsor-
that's Scenic. Huckins is on Scenic.
Scenic, okay.
So we don't, what I'm pointing out is we don't have really many miles of town roads that I could think of where we'd use a device like this. Most of our roads are Class 2 State Aid roads.
I agree with you.
And
So we have
my thoughts
the
are,
Gems and Manville, Hill, and Noise. That's it.
Well, you have some,
Going down that way. Oh, Industrial Park
Industrial,
Drive,
yeah.
which shouldn't be art, but it is.
and my thoughts were that, you know, we can look at this, but we have to think of the invasive species, the amount of times it will be used, also the fact that it will be attached to the excavator, which is a track vehicle, which will have to be trailered there and drive down those roads in a track vehicle, you know, that's very slow to cut a small amount. And
Yeah.
it wasn't handled or cut for many years, so it did get out of control, but I think something of a mower type that does a neater job.
you have to consider too, in a couple of years, we'll own Caleb too. And that has some areas that would need that too going on.
That's a good point. So I hate being reminded we're gonna move that around.
So along the river and Salmon Park through there, our portion, Salmon Run,
Right.
through there, some can be good, but
Well,
it doesn't seem like a lot of use for that.
I don't think so. I totally agree with you.
I'd rather see a lot of the money go to the sidewalk that, and get it ahead on something behind, or maybe a piece of equipment that could be used for working on the sidewalks. Just some thoughts, some things that we could run past for our
Glad you brought that.
Good thoughts, good thoughts.
I'm totally on the same page as John.
So we've got 15 minutes. Gail handed out to you guys a copy of a proposed amendment to our littering ordinance. A lot of people believe that if you dispose of a refrigerator or a freezer, that the law requires you to remove the doors. That isn't so. The federal act actually requires manufacturers to make it so that, now I'm forgetting the year, a newer freezer, actually it's a refrigerator, access refrigerator. The newer refrigerators would be made in such a way that if you got locked inside, you can open it from the inside. And this was signed in what? So your older refrigerators are still dangerous. This is, well, I thought I was going to be able to tell you whose law it is.
So this is the addition that you would like to propose to put in?
This is
To
the
the
amendment
littering?
I propose that we add to the littering ordinance. And I'd leave it to Joyce to put it in where, if you approve it, to put it in where she thinks it makes sense. Guess I didn't copy that. I thought I did. The penalty portion for violating any part of the littering ordinance is already in the ordinance, that's why you don't see it here.
Okay, so if you have a refrigerator and you bring it down to the highway and pay a fee, they take the doors off. Correct?
This is if you leave it at the,
Yeah, well,
This is just for,
discards or abandons or leaves at any place accessible to children. So if you brought it down to, or persons, if you brought it down to the town garage, it wouldn't be accessible to people.
did you run this by Jesse? Can we, the board, say that they will be guilty of a misdemeanor? Or is that is that right from the RSA?
In the littering ordinance, violating the littering ordinance is a violation. That came from the PD.
I'm agreeing with putting this in, and I think that it's a good proposal to put in. What I'm questioning is the language just saying prevent latching and locking the door is guilty of a misdemeanor. I think the littering,
Did I leave misdemeanor in there? I did. So that should be changed, good catch, because the penalty portion for the littering ordinance, any person who shall violate provisions of this ordinance shall be guilty of a violation for each day of neglect or refusal to comply after notice, blah, blah, blah. So that should be changed to violation, good, thank you.
because I don't think we can say that they're guilty of that. Okay, and then on the second part, you did say is guilty of a violation.
So I changed it there and not there, okay.
Right. Okay.
Good
I
catch.
have a question. So, if I have somewhere in my house or case or refrigerator that I'm temporarily use on and off, do I have to remove the door every time I disconnect it? If it's not in
No,
use?
because it says who keeps or stores them if the vendor or seller takes reasonable precautions to effectively secure the door of any such refrigerator, icebox, deep freezer, whatever, to prevent a person from being trapped in them. So if you made reasonable precautions to prevent a child,
I'm not a
so you only put it in. You only plug it in a couple of months out of the year because you want to be outside and you want to have a cold one waiting for you in the garage. Well, if
But I'm
you,
not a vendor.
Right, the exception provides for vendors, but that's a good question, so let's ask that of Jesse. Because this is, like I said, I didn't write this. I found this, there were two of them, and I thought this was the better one.
I would think it would be
think it's
secured so that it can not be used or something.
Right.
But not removed.
So if we can just use that, kind of fix that
So,
language there. then
well, if we
we'll be
need
set.
to. So, in the top part of the ordinance, where it says misdemeanor, can we change that to violation? And then John's question is, what about a person who has one in their home and is using it, or decides not to use it and unplug it? Because he's right, if you read this, it doesn't really make an exception for somebody who's using it.
I
At the
have
top
one in my
says
garage.
discards, abandons, or leaves. So I think that covers it.
Right, because you're not abandoning it or leaving it or,
Maybe if we took out leaves, who discards or abandons. I mean, because after all, my refrigerator in my kitchen is accessible to children. They wouldn't fit in it because it's full of stuff, but,
But, I think that.
But that's a good
if you
point.
did have one,
and I do have one in the
I have
garage.
one in my garage, and
I do
sometimes in the
too.
summer for
Yep.
cookouts or things, I
Yep.
plug it in and use it. I don't have to take the door off. But it would be reasonable for me to put like a moving strap around it to secure it.
So do you understand the question to ask Jesse? So is that all right with everybody? We send it
Yes.
to Jesse to
absolutely.
dissect, thank you.
Yeah, other than that, I think
Because
it's a good proposal.
I currently have two that I was asked to address, and I, like most people that have asked, went out to address them, and when I looked up the law, lo and behold, there isn't one.
And I'm just curious, since we're kind of on this subject, is there like a time limit on putting things at the end of like the driveway, like a couch that's been there for several weeks, or is that?
They're not supposed to be putting trash.
One on Main
Winter.
Street, Winter Street that's
Yeah.
been out there
And I
for
swear to God,
2
there's like
weeks.
Where is it
a
at Winter?
couch every year out there.
One winter.
Is that one Winter?
It's the first house on Winter. Or
That's one
or
Winter.
First or second.
The white one?
I don't know.
Is that the
You
one
can't
that
miss
said
the white
for,
one.
is that the one that said free?
Yep.
Yeah. But there's one there,
It's
like,
been through
every year.
rain, almost everything, snow, wind.
They're constantly putting stuff at the end of that.
Okay, I'll take care of it. I see that we have public with us. Is there something you wanted to address the selectmen with?
This is Patricia Garcia. She's a resident of Academy Street. What's the matter? No, I had a conversation.
I'm just public.
You don't want me to bring forward your concern?
I'll go for it.
Okay, that's why.
Well, I was going to let Patricia come up and, or announce herself, or see how she wanted to handle
I
it.
need to be more involved in politics. I would like to know how things are run in the town I live in.
Nice. That's outstanding.
That's why I'm here.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I would also like you to turn up your volume, because I can't hear everything.
Of our voice, or
Right.
if we talk louder, can you hear it?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh, is that what it is?
I can hear you now.
Hello. I was looking to see where the speakers are turned. That one's jumbled in the chair.
I have been remiss in not participating.
Oh, we're delighted to have you.
As I could. Thank you. Are you?
Oh, absolutely.
And thanks for the
It's great
feedback.
to,
Because we can hear ourselves and each other, but
But I can't always hear you.
All right, we'll try to do better.
Thank you. I'm here to understand more about our town and how government works.
Perfect.
You think?
Perfect. Now, more citizens should do what you're doing.
I'm trying.
More should. Thank you.
I agree. I don't think people take things seriously.
No, and with the amount of property taxes people pay these
I
days,
bet.
you would think that they would be more concerned about
You
what
might.
goes on.
You might.
But this is a good beginning.
And I appreciate that. session.
All right. Wait a minute, public hearing. Did everybody?
So you want to hear about my problem?
Oh, yes.
Academy Street. They just put up signs for no parking,
Yes.
and I can't get an answer out of no one. Cormier won't answer.
What's your question?
We just became a no parking zone. After, how old am I? Old.
Well, I can tell you that.
It's no parking because a cop almost got hit. And then we
No.
have a no parking. Now, what happens to my tenant who's parked on the street?
You can't park on the street in the wintertime to begin with.
Well, I
But it wasn't
understand
because of that.
and I take care of that, Pat.
It wasn't because of a cop almost got hit. That's not why we put up no parking signs. We have a couple of issues that are going on in town right now. Number one is our new trash ordinance that our automated truck can't get up and down the streets the way they are right now because cars are being parked on the side of the road on trash day.
Trash. So trash is why my tenant can't park on the street.
There's a couple of things.
There's actually a state law that doesn't allow motor vehicles to block the traveled way. So we have a few streets. I know West Street is one. I think there's a section of High Street, Academy Street, where there are no shoulders. We don't even have painted sidewalks on them. So what happens when a car,
They don't exist.
no, they don't. So when a car parks on either side of these streets, they're blocking a traveled way. They're reducing the road.
The street is no parking.
I think the signs they put up today, is what I understand from the chief, are just temporary signs. They recognize that there were a couple of areas, and your street isn't the only one. There's an area of High Street where they put up no parking from the sign to wherever the corner, because they recognize them as really problematic areas. And I think the sign Academy Street went up near your house because of the guardrail on the other side. There's just absolutely no shoulder, nothing there. When they have their signs that say no parking in the street, anywhere on the street, they'll be putting those up. So it won't be just sections of these streets, it'll be the entire street. Because there is a state law right now on the books that says you cannot block a traveled way, and you can't park on the street in such a way that it creates a danger to the motoring public. And they are getting ready for, also, Pat's right, on November 15th, you won't be able to park on the streets anywhere
Of course.
until April 15th. But there are some streets where you won't be able to park on the street.
But Patricia,
all.
right now, if you
can't park anywhere, anytime on the street.
But if you take a look at the village district, which is what you're in and I'm in, I live there, there are some streets that are much, much narrower than others, like Chestnut Academy, West Street, like Catherine said. You put one vehicle in that road, parked on the side of the road, visiting someone,
I respect that.
that becomes now an issue if everybody on the house has, the road has someone, particularly like Chestnut Street. You can't, there's a painted sidewalk, so now you put a car next to the painted sidewalk, now you're in the traveled way. Now cars have to go around it, and you have to stop and wait for cars to go up and down. It's really a one-way, you've now essentially made it a one-way road, depending on where the cars are. So Academy Street is no different than any of the other village streets. The only one that's wide enough is Prospect and Cedar.
I agree. It is very difficult. doesn't matter. What happens to my tenant? Is she gonna be ticketed?
Eventually, yes.
You don't have any,
Eventually.
you don't have
They
any place
always
for your
have-
tenant to park?
No. Well, we have a garage.
If you park on the street,
They have 2 cars.
Okay.
There is the parking lot, which costs the money, which, whatever. But it just happened. I was not notified. I couldn't even tell my tenant to get off the street. They just put a sign up. So Chief Cormier didn't call me back. The police department had no knowledge. So I'm here because what's going to happen to that car on the street?
if it continues to park in the street, it will get ticketed.
Respectfully, will they get a day? Today?
When it goes into effect?
Usually they give,
The sign went up today.
So
Yeah.
what is your question?
usually they do give you a grace period, if you will.
Thank you.
I can't say for sure, but I know
told her
typically
not
when
to
we,
worry.
when we ask them to go out and, patrol parking or whatnot in a new area, they usually like to talk to people first.
I kind of thought maybe someone would talk to me first.
What happens in the wintertime? Where does your tenants park?
There's a garage and a parking lot, and they go to the parking lot on the second car.
Okay.
It's never been an issue until this moment.
So can they use that in the summertime too?
I'm sure if they
Okay.
pay the town money.
The municipal parking lot, you mean?
Yeah, you have to
Okay.
have a sticker and you have to pay money.
Right, okay.
Yeah, sure.
I have to make the same arrangements, Patricia. I have a tenant that has 3 vehicles and we only have room for 2. I have to find a place for that 3rd vehicle. They can't be parked on the street. Or they'd be towed.
But this has just happened today. And I want to assure my tenant, she's not gonna have a ticket in the morning. And I guess I gotta bring up the other thing.
Did you talk to the chief about that?
Leland came in and told me that they put up a sign, that they were putting up signs. I didn't know they were going up today, but he came in after the fact because West Street in particular was not very happy. So then I called the chief, and he identified some dangerous areas on these streets and wanted to get signs up right away. So the signs he had was no parking from here to corner. So those were the signs they put up today. And as I said earlier, when they have the no parking on this street at any time, he'll change them out. But there were a couple of spots he felt that it needed to go up right away because they went and looked at them sometime this week and decided that they needed to be posted.
We have a speed bump that was put up a couple of days ago on Cedar Street. On Cedar Street. Well, I mean, you could certainly, we can certainly ask the chief.
I have asked so many times. But the speed bump is at the bottom of Academy for the blind person. But you want to just check out what's
The speed
happening
bump
at
at the-
1:30 in the morning
The speed bump
on
at the,
Academy, and there's rubber.
the speed bump at the bottom of Academy went in there because there were a lot of children that were crossing over at the time in the apartments. And the speed, the chief put the trailer, which calculates the speed and the amount of travel and so on and so forth, and everybody agreed that it would be good for everyone to put the speed bump there. There's a process. The residents of Cedar Street, Chestnut Street, all of them came out and said, listen, we really would like to 2 or 3 years ago, they've been waiting for a speed bump on Cedar
and
Street.
Chestnut aren't Academy.
There's still speed on Cedar Street. There's quite a lot of traffic on Cedar Street, more than you'll ever want to know on Academy. The kids, well, I shouldn't say kids, schools, everybody that wants to avoid the main street, take Winter Street to Cedar Street to Prospect Street to Academy down here and out. So there's a lot of traffic through that village. And those roads were not meant for the amount of traffic that's going through there. Not with the small homes, the small yards, and no place to park. There's many people that don't even have a garage that I'm really concerned with now, because we say if we don't park, where are they going to put their vehicle? Because they don't have places to put their vehicle. They've always parked there.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's,
But I'm still not quite understanding the speed bump on the Lower Academy, but that's fine. Could I get one on Upper Academy?
You can request it.
I've
Be more than happy to do the
requested a
research on it.
I requested one of those little sign things.
We'll ask the chief to look into it for you. I'd be glad to.
Thank you.
I need to open a public hearing.
I wonder why my request was never acknowledged for years.
Let me open this public hearing, and then we can get back to this, because we don't have any public here for it anyway.
Sorry,
No, that's okay.
should I leave?
No, it's just a formality. I should have done it at 6, but
I apologize.
we were engrossed in conversation, so let me open it now, and then we'll continue. Pursuant to RSA 31:91-B, the Tilton Selectmen will hold a public hearing accepted to expend unanticipated New Hampshire Department of Transportation, oh, that's a second department. That doesn't belong there. New Hampshire Department of Transportation Highway Block Grant Funds in the amount of $54,428.79 for new highway construction projects in the town of Tilton.
I'm sorry.
All right. So, I'm curious, who did you make a request to for the speed bump?
The Tilton Police Department,
Okay.
probably before Cormier.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, not the bump. I just wanted the sign that says you're driving too fast. I requested that.
Oh, the sign that we have with the trailer?
With the trailer?
Yeah, I remember him talking about it once.
5 miles an hour on Academy, they'd shut the heck up.
Well, he didn't have a place to put it except down by the stop sign because there aren't any shoulders.
No, I would have happily given them a place to put it.
I think that's what his problem was. We have several places that they've asked for that trailer and he didn't.
No.
But it would be interesting to gather some information anyway.
It would, wouldn't it?
Can we have him get in touch with you?
That guy that travels at 1:30 in the morning,
Can we have him
who laid that rubber, he is cooking.
Can we have him get in touch with you to get permission to put it on your property?
Sure.
Okay.
And there is the property between me and the prep school. That would work.
Well, usually they like to put it,
They can't move the stone wall.
yeah, they usually like to put them in the middle of the street, so he could put it at either end. I mean, there's plenty of
That
lawn
isn't gonna
beyond you.
work.
Slow down at
Exactly.
the end.
That isn't
Exactly.
gonna
So,
work. And probably it isn't gonna work anyway, so why bother?
really?
It's successful. They did it on Cedar Street for quite a long time.
It
And
can
just visually, the people seeing that it's a 20-mile-an-hour zone, and it flashes all these different colors if you're over 20. And people slow down because they think there's going to be a police officer on the other end of it.
And it also gathers the information. Yeah. It also
They think it
gathers,
takes pictures.
It also gathers the
Pictures
information.
would be good, because then you would get that son of a gun that's racing up my street, laying rubber at 1:30 in the morning. And do I have the time to get out of bed and take a picture of him?
He's probably gone before you
Gotta be
get
quick.
there.
Except, I can't do that, so do I have to buy a camera? That's what they told me.
Gotcha.
This
We
item-
can ask the chief to put patrols, the midnight patrol, over there so that we can figure out, there's many of options that we could do.
Has much bigger things to deal with.
The midnight crew, we can ask if they could go over there, but I don't want
Pay
to announce
attention.
it. I do not want to announce it on the camera for everyone to know that we'll have a crew out there on Academy Avenue, so,
Street.
street.
They should pay attention. That's a small street.
Yeah.
That's a small street. They shouldn't. be
I agree
doing
with
that.
you. I totally agree with you. But there are many options that we can explore, and I think sitting down with the chief, unfortunately, he's out working right now, but, you know, he's usually here at the meetings, so when you come next week, he'll probably be here, and we can discuss this, and we'll bring it up to him before then, and see what options we can come up with. And we can get back to you. It'll be easier to do that. We have your number.
Yeah, you do.
Is that okay?
Sure.
Excellent.
I don't expect anything to change.
I'll reach out to the chief and ask him, and we'll definitely get back in touch with you.
He's only been doing it for a couple of weeks, but it's regular.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, that's good. That's good to know. That's,
No, that's interesting.
Consistency is on our side.
I wonder if it's the same one up my street, like 1:30 in the morning.
What's on your side?
Consistency.
All right, Joyce?
Okay, first thing is the trash ordinance. Oh, I gotta get a correct piece of letterhead.
Thank you for our new trash buckets.
You're welcome.
They don't come in the morning anymore.
Interesting.
I think I was picked up about 2 or 3.
Yeah, mine doesn't come in the morning morning anymore.
I don't think mine has changed. Thank you.
I had to get the correct letterhead, so,
I was gonna say, you're gonna change that?
yeah, I printed a clean front page, which I was gonna do
Didn't
that
see
in
it.
color anyway. So,
Did you highlight the changes?
no, I did not. I can go through them quickly.
All right, thank you.
From our last meeting.
Definitions haven't changed, right?
Yes, we included dwelling unit.
Oh, I thought we did that the last time.
Yes, we did.
Well, you told me to add it,
Yeah, we gave her permission to add
so
it.
I added dwelling unit.
Right.
You approved recycling, you had me make sure that everything was consistent with using the word needs. I took the S off of dwellings on residential property. I had multifamily dwellings, units, was plural. On limitations on the amount of curbside trash and recycling, I was consistent using the words cart, since that's what the flyer says.
Yeah.
And I also used the word collection and receptacles and vehicle, all the way through.
You capitalized carts under 910-3 for the recycling carts, but the trash carts aren't capitalized and the carts isn't. Was that just a typo?
That is a typo. Very easy to fix.
Yep.
I keep
Or
losing.
yes? I'm spending too much time with Gabby.
Did I grab me a pen?
Oh, I have my special pen.
Okay.
There it is. I have to keep track of these for the
Was
colors.
this approved by us already?
The amendments were the individual amendments, but to get the whole thing approved,
We haven't done that
there's
yet.
no motion. I went back and checked all the
Well,
minutes.
we better do this before you, then I have an address to send you to.
Say what?
I said, we'll approve this and then 9103.2. An address to send you to.
Okay, so on 9010-3, I'll get rid of that capital. Okay, requirements. I did that one. Okay, 2, we deleted completely and just moved down to the next. You said to keep, in the original 910-2.2, you said to keep the sentence about the receptacles shall be kept safe, properly maintained, free of offensive odors, and in clean condition, free of accumulated waste products, including liquids. Such receptacles
Oh,
shall...
yes, let's keep that.
Yeah, so that's,
We
kept
have
that.
to keep that.
And then 3, it was,
So you're saying maybe, I'm sorry.
you have to address the chair. If you want to speak.
Clean your trash buckets, is that what?
Clean your trash buckets, yes.
Okay.
It helps
I
prevent
apologize.
insects and other types of vermin.
Okay, so the new 10.3.3 is the, wanted to just keep the first sentence. The owner, tenant, and/or person in control of any private, non-public property shall control trash on his or her property so as to keep it from being carried by the elements, birds, vermin, insects, etc. upon the sidewalk, street, and other non-public property. The sentence we had left out, that I had struck out before, was saying that they're responsible for going on the people's property and cleaning it up.
Yeah, that's in the littering ordinance, though, so it's, we got it there.
So we just left that first sentence.
This is kind of a reminder.
Okay, that's 910-2.4. Okay, and then I moved up, because it was really more appropriate to be under requirements for trash receptacles, rather than placement of them, was to add the about private roads.
Good.
So that's the new 3.4. And reiterated that the town of Tilton is not responsible for private roads. Placement,
She couldn't hear you.
oh,
Town of Tilton is not responsible for what?
private roads.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
apologize.
Okay.
No problem.
So the new 910-4 is placement, trash, and recycling carts for collection. And I left out the word, should be of, placement of trash and recycling carts for collection.
Where are you, Joyce?
I'm the new 910.4.
Point 4.
The heading.
Yep, that used to be 3. Okay, 910.3.1. Just to be consistent, I have trash collection and recycling collection carts shall be placed. That's the same thing. Designated. Okay, yeah, and this is new in 4.2, where you wanted me to add that with at least 3 feet of clearance between objects as well as above.
And at the beginning of that sentence, it should say, and within at least 3 feet, not with at least 3 feet.
Okay.
Oh, no, I guess it is with at least, and with at, no, you're right, it's good.
Okay,
With at least 3 feet of
between
clearance.
objects as well as
I think
above.
4.1 and 4.2 actually contradict each other because 4.1 says shall be placed at the designated curbside location for pickup, but then it says that the designated curbside location is directly in front of the residence. When, in my case, it's behind my residence and it's on the opposite side of the street behind the residence. So it was, in which was a place that was specifically designated, which would fit into the 4.1,
Right.
but 4.2,
But if you look at 4.1, I think you're absolutely right on the contradiction there, but 4.1 and 4.6, why can't you just combine the two of them?
or eliminate
Two.
2,
Move the,
Well, you need the,
or put directly
So-
adjacent or something as opposed in front, or put as specified by.
Well, he's gone out and spoken with the residents. I mean, as many as he could get in touch with.
Yeah.
And he's gone back over and over and over again of placement. This morning, for trash day, he went on Maple Court
Yeah.
and spaced them apart. Did you notice that? They were
I
all
was saying,
spaced evenly apart.
4.2 says it shall be directly in front of the residents, and there's a penalty, is guilty of violation if you don't do that.
There are some places that are impossible to do that.
So we should put something that clarifies that it's not always directly in front of the residents, or as designated place.
There are exceptions to that rule because,
Yep.
so
I
you
talked about
put
this
the
morning
designated
about
curb
one.
sign location whenever possible
Or,
for trash collection is the area directly in front of which the trash originated.
Unless otherwise authorized.
and otherwise directed.
Directed or authorized. Because if you say otherwise and not possible, then you're leaving that
I said-
as an ordinance, as
I'm saying
vague.
whenever possible.
Whenever
Right, and then,
possible.
so now I'm looking for language.
Or as directed by the
Yes,
contractor.
there you go. Or as directed by,
Directed /
contractor.
authorized by the contractor.
Okay, so where do I
Or-
put that in parentheses then, after the word establish?
Right.
Unless directed by the collection contractor. In parens. And then from which the trash originated.
Yes.
Because that's the whole point of that, is try and keep it where it originated and space it properly.
Right.
Okay, so I can do that, and I don't think that will throw off my page. Well, I can just reprint the whole thing,
I'll try to
because I
get
have the new front page.
Aging, yeah.
Okay, there's no changes on the front page. Okay, so 6, so did that. Yeah, and that's, I told you, I moved about the private roads up to the collection requirements.
Yeah.
We already did the, the time. I moved the time up to number 2. Just made more sense. What our current 910.4.2 used to be .6. Because that's important information to put right up top. And then schedule, there were no other changes other than just renumbering. All right, so before you go and sign it, because I have the front page already, I can print the other ones. I'm good with it.
The last page, Joyce.
Pardon me?
oh, all right, go ahead. Yes, just speak right up.
Sign it,
Excuse me?
Before we sign it.
sign it.
Yes.
Oh, I gotta
Can I
change
put
it.
my trash barrels at my garage? Or do I have to move them across the street in front of my house?
They need to be brought down to the curb or the edge of the road.
Well,
I don't know.
garage-
I don't know how close your garage is to the
It
road.
is very close, yeah.
Thank you.
No, but I mean, how close? So, the truck,
There's really, I don't want my trash buckets in front of my house. I put them in front of.
no,
my
you can
house.
put them in front of your garage by the curb, but the way
Right.
the way the new pickup works is the driver doesn't get out of the
I
truck.
get that.
So as long as the barrels are next to the road where he can get at them, I don't see a problem.
but I
Do you?
just
Does anyone?
didn't
On,
understand.
I think,
As long as they're not
I
in,
want it in front of my house.
no, that's what we were, that's what John just brought up, and that's what we corrected. So you don't have to put them directly in front of your house. But they should be within your property boundary. They shouldn't be on either of
The
your
only,
neighbors.
with your situation in front of your garage, you would want to pull it forward, so when the arm comes down and grabs it, it's not gonna hit the garage.
Yeah,
That's
she
all.
understands.
Because it's only like 3 feet away from the
Yeah,
garage,
she
the
understands.
edge of the street.
You know.
Mm-hmm, I do. So put it at the edge, it's not a problem having it on that side of the road. Right,
There you go.
Thank you. Just checking.
yeah. We just changed it so you could do it that way.
Oh. I want to do it all right.
So,
I agree with it. So I'll make a motion
okay,
that we accept and sign the Town of Tilton trash collection ordinance number 910, adopted August 31st, 2017. With
Second. Any more discussion on the trash ordinance? All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
Aye, sorry.
You opposed?
No,
Okay.
aye.
She's an aye.
okay.
Motion carries.
So before you leave, I'll have a signature page.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next is exceptions. It's been a crazy week, but I'll tell you, Tony has been excellent in keeping in contact. In fact, it was late last Friday night that we went through a number of places where he had questions, and all week long, if I wasn't in, he'd relay the information to Gail, and Gail, so we worked very closely. So I'll just kind of go through my list, if that's okay. As you know, back in, it was before February of when we adopted this one, it's in the minutes that the selectmen had made an exception that due to the downtown area, and downtown we defined the same as our parking,
Track to track.
track to track, that those places that are fronting on Main Street, because it's so, the density, that they would all be allowed containers. Okay, so, and Tony's great, because he's following our ordinance, and anytime someone raises a question, I say, let me bring it to the selectmen. On this one, I received a call from 278 Main Street, which is the head first, so there's the hair salon, and then there's 2 residential units. So in the past, they've always had 3 recycling bins. So,
Head first is on the south side of the street.
correct. Correct. So is it okay to go ahead and give them
There's 2 dwelling units and 1 business.
in one business?
That's what we've been doing, isn't it?
Yes. Okay, so, okay.
Does
Continue.
everybody agree? John,
Yes.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, the business didn't recycle, but the 2 residential units did. So he left 1 recycle bin and 1 trash bin. So what I'm going to ask him to do is bring 2 more trash carts and bring back the recycling bin that he took. Okay, so it's 3 and 3.
Pardon? He is the man that runs the trash pickup. He's the contractor we hired. Nobody represented him.
323 West Main Street, that's the brick building.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with Catherine on this, and I saw that you and Mike are going to go in and inspect that, and I sent them the landlord affidavit.
I believe we're scheduled for Tuesday.
Yes. But I did contact Mike, because it was Mike Gagney, and I said, Mike, are there, for purposes of refuse collection, are there 4 rental units or 5 rental units? And he responded, and he said there are only 4 units. The main building has 3 units, and the back has 1 unit for a total of 4. My only question is I don't know what he means by back. I think he means on the side.
The last time I was in the building,
I don't have a copy of the card. Yes, I do.
and I had been in there twice, it was a number of years ago. there were 5 units in the building, but maybe they discontinued one, I don't know, but there were 5. There were 2 on the first floor. Yeah. I know it went through a remodel.
Yes. The other thing I could do is see Dari and maybe look at the building
I was just
permits.
gonna say, if we pulled the building permit, but I'm scheduled to go in anyway, but I would like to see the building permit before we go in. Does anybody want to see this?
So for now, just because Tony wants to finish this out, can I go ahead and tell him it's okay? If it is in fact 4 units, they can have,
Well, they
4.
should wait until it gets looked at next week.
okay.
I mean,
That's
'cause
what I need to
we're gonna
know.
say okay now and then find out it's 5.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
Because, I mean, last time I was there, it was 5. It went through a rebuild, so the building permit should show what the final is. And then if we're gonna change our assessing card
Right.
and eliminate a unit, we should make absolutely certain that that's what it is.
Right. Well, either way, if any change like that would require, to make a change, Lauren would have to go in the unit herself.
Yep.
All right,
But at least we'll know whether to say yea or nay to them.
all right, so, wait, because I told Tony I'd call him tomorrow with all the decisions. Wait until 9/5. And where it is making an assessing change, I think that's wise.
Just be careful.
Okay, we've run into a couple of places now where there are attached dwelling units, ADUs. No, ADU, attached dwelling unit, right?
Accessory units?
Accessory unit.
Yeah.
Some are attached and some aren't attached. Okay? So I asked Lauren and Dari, how do we address these? Because if they are 2 separate dwelling units, it's not just a room for the mother-in-law or someone, or a caregiver or somebody that stays in. It's an actual separate dwelling unit. Then it needs to have an E911 address. Okay? So I asked Lauren, I said, how would you do this? And she said, if it's 2 units, not attached, 2 separate units, it would be coded 2-family residential, but not a duplex.
Right.
Okay?
So these are not showing up on our cards.
Well, I found one on the card, and this is what she said, is if they are in the same building on one card, the address would be the same if there would still be 2 cards, but the other card would have its own address.
Interesting. Just wondering how the construction gets by us, but I know the answer.
So it's either the card will show 1F, 2 cards, 2 addresses, but it's the same parcel. And the other one, if it is in fact a duplex, then there's a code for duplex. But it's important that we coordinate with the addresses.
Okay.
Now, she has one, I haven't come to it yet, where it appears that at one time there were 3 camps on the property. This is the one I asked you to go take a look at. And one was taken down, but it was a garage or something. Well, that's been turned into a living unit. So we need to make sure that Lauren goes in there and corrects that.
That's what it appears, but we should also make sure that there was a building permit at some point in
Right.
time.
Right, and Tony's explaining to these people that when he's saying, oh, you're telling me the town's records say this is just a single family, and you're telling me this is a 2-family, just so you know, the town will have to come and check and make sure their records are correct.
Because when I went down, no one was home, so I was guessing at what I saw.
Yeah, so that's been flagged for Lauren. Okay, and the original one that I had sent to Catherine back in August before I went on vacation, all those have been cleared up. I'll just give you the addresses. 161 East Main is 6 units, 397 West Main is 6 units, and 14 Winter Street is 7 units. They've all made arrangements with another hauler, licensed hauler with the town. And he said there were no problems. They accepted it, no problem.
And the other one, 323, we were trying to resolve today. So that will be resolved on
Right.
9/5.
There's one more, which is with a Wyndham, DPV development on East Main Street.
Do you know the address? Because I'm just going by address.
No, I don't remember. I'd have to go up and look.
154.
It is 154.
154 Main Street,
East.
East Main.
There is
Oh.
an apartment,
Is that the beauty salon?
no, across the street. There's an apartment, and then there is a boarding house. The last time Tim and Al and I inspected, we vacated the second and third floors. I believe there are 3 rooms being boarded out. So I don't know how we're dealing with boarding houses, but that's what the main building is.
141 East Main.
154, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, 154?
154.
And what is 141?
Did I say 141?
You might have.
I did. It
I
was a
might have
mistake.
heard it. Okay, here's one where there's an in-law apartment. This is 348 Caleb Hill Road. So I'll tell him to go ahead and deliver the extra bin. Okay. 18 Hill Road, what was the deal with that? Do you
They just
remember?
didn't pick up the trash.
What?
No deal, they just hadn't picked up the trash.
And we made Tony aware of that, and it's nothing that Catherine has to look into, so this is an okay. 20 Stormy Road, we turned that one over to.
I talked to the tenant, or not the tenant, the owner. Very nice, said that they would take care of that quickly. I did send them an official notice, but I'll monitor it, I'll check on it. I gave them until next week, but I'll check on it.
Okay, 56 Caleb Hill Road does not want any carts or recycling bins. He wants to continue to take his bags of trash to the highway garage, and he does not want to pay for the purple bags. This was the gentleman that expressed this at town meeting.
And town meeting voted otherwise.
The legislative body spoke, and he was resoundingly outvoted. So we all have to, I mean, even though we don't really want it, we all have to listen to what the legislative body says.
If he wants to dispose of his trash in the town of Tilton, he'll have to abide by the ordinance, which is purple bags, or
Still have purple bags?
if you have an overflow of trash that doesn't fit in your trash container, then you have the option of purchasing a purple bag from town hall, and then you can bring that trash down to the public works garage.
I don't know how to turn it off. Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. So did you understand? So the purple bags are for basically overflow.
Back.
If you have more garbage than fits in your black trash cart, you can purchase the purple bags here at town hall, and then you have to bring them to the town garage, but you can throw as many of them as away at the town garage as you wish. They said persistent. Joyce?
I didn't know purple bags still happened. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Tom, we brought them back.
Okay, 149 East Main Street, this is 149 East Main, yes, that's the building that has the hair salon and 2 apartment units. And I'm recommending that we treat it the same way as we did Silver Lake Road.
Yes.
Okay. 30 Clark Road. They are, yes, they are, it wasn't on the tax card because it won't be recognized until April 1st of 2018. But I did check and it was approved, so, and it's billed, but he's not taxed on it yet.
So I would also like to treat that as an ADU and let them have 2 bins and 2 carts.
And what is it exactly?
It's an ADU,
An accessory dwelling unit?
yes, which is the whole back, it's attached.
Okay. I'm making note of those for our housing standard inspection because they don't show up on my list.
I have this attached to the wrong thing. And the other one is 161 School Street. He also has, he's the one with the ADU that he just put in. This house. So, okay to give him 2.
Was it approved?
Well, I'm trying to treat them all the same.
The ADU?
Yes.
And they
Yes.
all got building permits for those ADUs. And then they got occupancy permits, correct?
All I know is that when I log in, there's a note up top from Lauren saying, approved ADU, put it on the tax card, April 1st of 2018.
Okay. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. I apologize.
Come back and see us again.
Yeah, this guy was nice. I'll
He's
double
nice
check
to
though, but I'm
accompany.
99.99% sure. Okay, we're done with this. It looks worse than it is. This is done. That's Lauren answering that. Okay, hold on. Okay, that's 18 Hill, that's done. Oh, 32 Silver Lake Road. I did send this to the board. She wants to know if her daughter, who lives at 52 Silver Lake Road, who doesn't use their bins because they have a dumpster, she asked Tony, and Tony said ask us, if he could assign his daughter's bins to her, because she has the daycare.
Okay, but I thought the way we set this up, if somebody wanted an extra bin, they could purchase it from them? Trash bin? Isn't that what we, that's for the whole town? I think she has to abide by what we've created without exception.
Okay.
What does everybody else think?
Just gets
Yeah.
too,
Unfortunately, but if, so she lives nearby, she could just put it out at her daughter's house if she wanted.
Yeah, I didn't go that far in the
I mean,
conversation.
she can if it's her daughter's, and she can always put the trash in the daughter's house.
But they have to stay at her daughter's house, they cannot remove
Stay,
the
right.
property.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
'cause-
if her so basically, we should not be encouraging somebody to put their trash in someone else's property, whether it's relative or not. If the daughter isn't gonna use the bins, then we should take them back. And if the other property wants more bins, then they need to go through the process everyone else would go through. Does that
Especially
sound-
if it's a daycare.
Especially if it's a daycare. Does that sound reasonable to everyone?
I mean, the other daycare in town has service.
That's right.
Okay, that's somebody that wanted a smaller bit. Okay, here's a good one. How do I do this? Okay. Main Street, the address is 307 Main Street. Okay? And this person also owns 4 Prospect Street. And the 4 Prospect Street has been merged with 307 Main Street. So there's a building with at least 3 units that I know of, but I don't think any of them are occupied right now. There's a little parking lot, and then there's the old Dr. Neesham building, which I think there's someone living in the apartment unit. So, because this individual feels that since he's on Main Street and part of downtown, because he's not West Main Street, he's Main Street, that he's entitled to get, to treat him like we've treated some of these others that are,
It's track to track.
yes, that's what I want to tell him.
It's track to track. Again, we can't start making.
But it doesn't say that in the ordinance, but that's in a motion that
Wait,
the
wait.
board has.
So he's on Main Street,
That building has a Main Street number.
Main Street number. This the brick one?
There were the two right next to La Chance's.
What is he asking
Okay.
for?
He wants to be treated like the
What does
rest,
that mean?
the exception,
not want to
the
have-
exception that was granted to the people in downtown.
Can you, I don't know what that is.
The,
They don't have to have a dumpster.
right, they can have as many
Okay.
The reason we
bins they need.
granted, we did that is because from track to track, there really isn't any place for the properties in downtown to put dumpsters. Center Street runs behind these buildings and the river runs behind the others. There just isn't any place, and they can't put them on Main Street, they can't put them on the sidewalks. So we made that exception for those properties.
So should we put it in the ordinance since we're,
Maybe it is, we should add it into the ordinance. It was in the motion that was made. But on the other side of the track, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? On the west side of that demarcation line, they have, those businesses all have property to locate dumpsters on. I mean, it would.
On the north side, they do.
Right.
But it's really on the south side that they're really constrained.
Okay, there's room to put a dumpster over there.
On the south side?
Yeah, in between our parking lot and that building.
Yeah, but their dumpsters, like the one dumpster there that's at Tilton House, that's on the town's property.
Right. But no, I'm saying beyond the track. Those properties beyond the track.
Oh, yes, I agree.
Have areas to put
Yes.
dumpsters.
Yeah, like La Chance's has one.
Right, so we made the exception because we recognized these on this side didn't have any place to put them. So there was no reason to grant an exception.
There's room out behind, what I call Wallingford's.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
In the corner of the parking lot, there is plenty of room for a dumpster. So it's not that there's a hardship there. But I think, yeah, Ashley's right, we should make it part of the ordinance.
Then there's always going to be exceptions.
I mean, we could make, but we could make
We
an
already-
amendment
Yeah.
after we sign it. You could, why don't you work on an amendment to it?
Okay,
if his rationale was there wasn't room, I would be okay with that.
okay,
If
Yeah.
it's just to get in a loophole.
yeah.
It's to save money. I don't
Yeah,
blame them.
on the other,
Never hurts
business.
to ask.
Good business.
before this was adopted in February 4th of 2016, the other ordinance we were working from that was being amended, it is an amendment to that. And that was just as a special exception because we looked at putting dumpsters out for them to use, and there's no room even for the town to provide the dumpster. So, I don't know, I'd like to think that through a little bit more before we add it. So, but either way, I'll give him a copy of that and let him know that. Okay, so can I have that back so I can write my note? Okay, I'm almost through this. And same for this one, okay? That one he took care of. 873 Laconia Road. What was that one? Do you remember?
Did it mix?
The little houses around the jug handle.
I don't know.
Ski-Doo rental area.
This was
That's
one, this is
872.
one on Monday, August 28th.
You have us in suspense.
I'll have to look it up. Oh, and 20 Church Street. I had given that one to you, didn't I?
Somebody asked me about it,
Demolition
but
one.
I didn't have, I think the bank owns it, don't they? Yes. I don't know what to,
Oh, okay.
I can get in touch with the
That was
bank,
Island, Joyce.
since the bank
Pardon me?
owns it.
873 is the island. 873.
Oh, it's the island, yes. Okay, that's what it was.
Mohawk?
Actually, there's another little island in Silver Lake.
Oh, this is in Silver Lake.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was an island
I
in
thought you were
Silver
at
Lake.
872 Laconia Road.
Yes,
Yeah.
they wanted more bins because there's 6 people on the island. Joyce?
Was it Mohawk Island or?
Mohawk Island.
On Mohawk Island.
Yeah, that's Winnisquam.
What does there a note on the card? What does it say?
873. That's,
They put their trash there, because that's their, and
oh,
Tony doesn't, I mean, you can't have too many bins on that corner right there. By the Lord Hampshire?
they have a boathouse there.
Correct.
Yeah, there's a little driveway that
Yeah.
goes down, that's their boathouse, that's
And
where
they can
they
fit
go
6
across.
bins in there? They can't.
That Tony doesn't want that, I mean, he was gonna talk about it,
He was? So there's just not enough room?
right? He believes they have sufficient bins for the number of people on it.
Aren't they seasonal?
Mostly.
Yeah.
there it is.
Yep. Yes, see, talking to Gabby too much. That is it. You can see that one. Boathouse.
Can you put the angle? So the island's right behind
Yeah.
there. This is Wood Hampshire.
Yeah.
And then they come up their steps here, and this is their driveway here.
Okay. If he can't safely pick it up, he can't.
There's a there must have been something else to it, because there's a significant amount of room over there.
Drops off the road.
All right, let me talk to
Let's see what
Tony.
And then it turns to guardrails
He's
before.
always had good judgment.
It's not in a good place. And then it goes into the corner by Lord Hampshire.
He'd be blocking the garage. That's a better view.
Yeah.
66 Hill Road, this is one that Lauren has to go look at. This is where GNC has their office, and come to find out there are 2 units there. When I spoke with GNC, she said that they all, and one of the tenants who spoke to Tony, they've always had the service. And they want to know if there could be an exception for this, because it's 2 residential units. Like the one that we approved on Silver Lake Road.
If there are 2 residential units, then we've been making that exception. So doesn't everybody, what do you think? If Lauren goes in there and finds that there are 2 residential units, then,
Okay.
yeah.
Speak with Tony, send email to KDD to inspect. Oh, God. 2 on 1 lot. Oh, that's the one you went and looked at. This is 87 Silver Lake Road, so Lauren's got to go look at that. And if it is
Yes.
in fact 2, okay to give
Yes.
the second one.
We should find out, though, how that occurred, the building permit thing.
Okay, here's the one that's on 91 Silver Lake Road. This is the house that's on Forest Island.
Okay.
So is it okay to,
That has a long driveway.
there's 2 cards.
Well, there's
So
something
there's a
on,
camp.
there's something on the shore, right? And then there's something on the island?
Okay, the building is located on the island, yes.
That's right.
And then there's another place on land provides access to the island.
That's right.
New shed, has car door and blocks with ramp. Okay. So it's 1 residence. So he needs to get one. He slipped through the cracks. Okay. 570 West Main Street. Okay, that's, right, that's Country Rose Motel. And I explained to him that, no, that's all part, they're all on one parcel. I think they're approved for 9 mobile homes. But
Motel?
I'm sorry, Country Rose
Home.
Mobile Homes.
Okay, I was going,
They have an approval for 9 units, but I think only 7 have anything on them. And then there's the house, and there's an apartment in the house. And then there's also the bakery building. So the individual wanted to know if they could have a black cart for the bakery building,
that's what we've been doing, right?
for the business. Okay. Okay. Black cart, okay.
Home businesses.
Okay, and then the one, 60 Silver Lake Road, that's the post office, which takes care of its own. And then the two apartments, one's owner occupied and the other's rented. You guys said okay for that. 66 Hill Road. Didn't we just do that one?
Yep, that's
Okay.
clean up. 2 apartments.
570 West Main Street. Oh, that's the one I mentioned up above, so you said okay for that. Oh, and one resident wanted to know why we're no longer allowing styrofoam trays that meat comes in.
We never did.
And I checked with Tony, he says, no, none of the, there's only 3 plants that accept this stuff. They have never accepted styrofoam.
We've never accepted styrofoam.
Okay.
That's it, Joyce.
Now this is,
That's it, Joyce. You don't need to,
that's all taken care
that's
of?
all.
This one's been taken care of. This one's all set, they're getting a dumpster. That one's all set. $363 Main Street. How many units do they have? I'll have to check with Lorna, this isn't clear on how many units they have, but I'm pretty sure they have a dumpster now. Okay, and then this is just a smaller bin exchange. That one we took care of.
Joyce,
That one's taken care of.
could they switch the bin for a smaller one at
Yes.
49 White Rock?
At 49 White Rock, that might be in here.
White Rock.
Have you had that
I have
one?
not heard from that one.
Okay. So 49 White Rock. Want a smaller bin.
Trash or recycling?
Trash. I'm recycling if
Both?
possible
Both?
too, yeah.
Okay.
Can't handle
Today's 8/31. So it's been busy, but we've gotten back to everybody. That's the island one.
I can only commend Tony out there in the pouring rain. I think it was Friday night.
That's done.
It must have been 8, 9 o'clock, and
That's
he was
done.
out there dropping bins off. Our street, Morrison Ave, the trash bins last week were some side of the road. He put the tags on it, and this morning, everybody had everything perfectly lined
Yeah.
up.
That's good.
He's good. He's like directing an orchestra there,
A lot of personal attention we're getting from him.
really.
59 Range Road, plus on School Street.
I'd have to look at the notes.
It was on August 22nd. That one's been taken care of.
All those notes have been taken care of.
Smaller bin. Smaller bin. Smaller bin.
Okay,
So
next.
it's been 2 weeks. We just finished 2 weeks of the new program, and, I mean, this is basically it.
Nice job, Joyce.
And we've gotten back to everybody. we've heard a couple people were a little adverse to change. One, because one of the places, Tony's requiring them to put this goes to your point that you raised, to put the bins on the other side of the street. And he was not happy about that. He says, well, then you're not going to get your trash picked up. And so now he complied. Okay. That's done. These all go with that. Okay, what's next? That was the hardest part. Notice I put that first. PD study. I sent you an email. I asked Rachel when we'd get our report, and she said she was working on it, and we would have it shortly, and I let Gary know. Class 5 road project off Laconia. Before I left on vacation, I don't even know if you received all that, the information from Bill Rollins. Did you all get copies of that?
Yes, and I don't think that he understood the letter.
I don't think I got a copy of it.
Did we? If you read his letter, his response, I don't think he,
Oh,
did
yeah,
he
yeah.
get the correspondence from the attorney? Or was that just?
No,
Okay,
no, he
then
did not.
Maybe we ought to send him the
Yes.
correspondence
Yes.
from the attorney. Does anybody object to that?
No, I do
Because his response did not seem to correlate.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And then then I also sent, wait, that's Bitter Lane, never mind. I just got an email as I was coming upstairs, 5:38, from the people at the very last unit there, 1005.
We're still on Class 5 road?
Yes. And just wanted to know, and I believe I forwarded this to you, so if you want to read it, let me just read it here.
What you want to know? When?
When, and also that still some concerns that many people are confused on thinking our 2 driveways is a road, so they come down and have to turn around, which is very difficult for them.
They've been doing
Thinking
that
a
for
sign
years.
that says no throughway or turnaround might help. How about private driveway? I know people hate it when they dead end down here. They could put a sign for that.
Between the store and the shore?
We could also post private drive signs, but the
Where's
chief
Walmart?
has asked that we not put up a
House.
fence for safety reasons, and we understand this and agreed for now. And with that, we can only post on one side, whereas it really needs to be on both sides. The other issue is the porta potties.
We don't have anything to do with the porta potties.
I know.
And they're not on her property, so
Right.
Why are we getting the letter?
if she wants to post her right-of-way or private driveway, all the more power to her, but the town isn't going to post her private property for her.
No way.
Okay. I just thought that was interesting.
And when? When we have the issue of ownership resolved with the state. So at this point, it's definitely going to wait until spring, because when does the plant close? October? November?
Well, trust me, when we have resolvement from the state, it might be 3 years from now.
Okay, Bittern Lane.
They would not even involve us anymore.
This is the one that I sent
Let
to
them
you.
have it. Let them
If
keep
you
it.
want to check your email.
But
Bittern Lane, I got a response from the applicant.
And
That's what I'm looking for.
go forward or no?
No, she doesn't, she thought everything was all said and done. You'd have to read it.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah,
What's the
you're
title?
looking. Bittern Lane.
Tilton Sports Complex.
I didn't even print a copy of it.
She's going to send a letter to the selectmen outlining her concerns.
I just had this.
She doesn't want to approve the study, but doesn't understand the purpose.
Yeah, okay.
Well-
I remember reading that.
I had a conversation with her, Dari had a conversation with her, you had a conversation with her, and we sent her the letter.
They've had the letters. When was the letter dated? 14 or 15? 2014? The letter is old. When we sat here and hashed out the agreement, I mean,
Right, oh, the May of 2015.
of 2015,
Yes,
okay. So
yes.
it's 2 years?
Yep.
Well,
And I did send her another email once I got his engineering proposal, because he said he really needed the traffic study, and in some of that correspondence that she sent me, it referenced a traffic study that had been done by Pernom, and I emailed her, I said, can you send us, or have John send us the traffic study, because we're going to need that anyway for getting the driveway permit application submitted. And she said, well, I'll look for it.
Okay, so,
And that's what she sent without correspondence. She had sent that like a blank email, and we didn't know what it was when she sent it.
Right, and as I said, we need the traffic study, so.
wow. So she's going to send a letter to us? Okay.
Is that what she says?
Mhm. Okay. I mean, they did miss a wetlands and a culvert
On the plan.
on the plan, so that's kind of interesting.
Right. I mean, so it's not a completed plan. You really
But
can't-
anyway,
Right.
so she understands her project can't go forward.
Yes, she thought that everything was all approved. I think she's concerned about the additional stormwater drainage and wetlands review.
Okay. But she understands that her project can't go forward.
We can't without a driveway permit.
Right. That, so Alice should not be issuing a building permit.
No.
Okay. All right, let's make sure everybody understands that.
Okay, Gaslight Village, they awarded the bid to Hutton Engineering after the engineering consultant, Hutton Construction. After the engineering firm, Du Bois and King, checked all the references and checked all the bids. It was a low bid, and it was under their budget, so they're very happy about that. They held their first construction meeting today, meaning yesterday, and so everybody was present. And what Nick had asked me, he said once a month they're going to hold a construction progress meeting. Would it be okay if they met here at the town hall? And I said, actually, that would be great,
Is
because
that who was downstairs yesterday?
yeah. I said, just as long as you give me notice, and he apologized for that. That was just a last minute thing. But I think that would be good because, we do have skin in the game, and so we want to make sure that they're doing everything right.
Do we have any idea of when they're going to start digging in the dirt?
They did the notice of award, but they haven't done the notice to proceed. That was their meeting that they had yesterday. So very shortly, we'll get the notice to proceed, and they really want to fast track getting this
Well,
going.
they have a failed septic system.
Yes, and they're pumping.
I know. Every 10 days.
Yes, and they're aware of that.
Okay, they are aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And those residents and even the engineer had the same concern that they can't understand why that system, because it was new, would have failed.
I'm not
fairly
an
new.
expert, but you probably shouldn't put a leach field in an area that's downhill and wet. Would be my guess. And if you look at the blueprint, in my opinion, it's not located where the blueprint said it should be.
Mm-hmm. But the people that will be in attendance of that will be the engineer, at least 3 members of the Gaslight Village, Donna, who's our consultant, the USDA representative, which I didn't get her name, and the contractor. And so I think that would be good if we kept tabs on what was going on, especially the fact that it involves sewer and wants to be present. It would be more convenient. So.
Anybody object?
No, no.
Ashley?
Okay, old business, solar garden in,
You keep pressing.
oh,
That's what's going on.
trying to coordinate with Lauren and with the presentation. Lauren can't come on the 14th. She can come, if you want to arrange another time, and her next 2 contract days, she'll be here in October and November.
Let's move it to one of those.
Well, she can't come another day in September?
Yeah, she could, yes.
I mean, I don't want to push the solar fellow out further than we have to into October. So if she can't meet on the 14th, if she can meet the week after,
Okay.
then maybe we could do that.
Okay, now, so I mean, her role would be to advise the selectmen on a pilot, and she is opposed to a pilot. But if the selectmen wanted to pursue that, she could help you with that. And she's already spoken to the gentleman, and what he had originally proposed, she said she would advise the selectmen to reject it.
I would like, so having been at the meeting for the Samerton Selectmen, I would like her to be there at the beginning, to hear his proposal. He's going to be altering a piece of property. So, that has to do with assessing. I'd like her to be there from the beginning, to hear the promises, all the spiel.
So that everybody's hearing the same thing.
So everybody's
too.
hearing the same thing. There's no, I didn't say that. That's not what I presented. That's not what I proposed. I know she could watch the meeting, but being in the room at the same time, I'd like her to be there. I can tell you the residents that were in attendance at that meeting, and there were quite a few of them, were not happy that they were not involved from the beginning. And the night that I went, those selectmen were prepared to make a decision that night.
Right, because they already
Payment in lieu of taxes.
they had already negotiated a payment in lieu of taxes.
Well, their assessor had had worked out one with the solar fellow. And then the selectman that night suggested another price. So that was interesting, after hearing from the residents. So that's what I mean. I do think it's important that Lauren is in on this from the beginning.
Okay.
They're doing it a little backwards for me, and it was expressed that night. Maybe site plan first, but they want to make sure, before they expend any more monies than they have to, they want to know they have an agreement with the town.
Oh, right. They want a commitment that...
Notifying anybody, nothing. They want an
Exactly.
agreement first.
Exactly.
And, I don't know. They want to put, the one they're putting in Tilton on Tower Hill, you'd have to be flying over.
Samberton.
In Samberton, flying over, or be on Belknap or Hopkinton Mountain to see it, or be in a butter. On School Street, that has to affect residents in the trailer park, because they're looking down on the property it's proposed to be on, aren't they? Yeah, and then I'm thinking the people that all live in back of Walmart
Right.
are going to be able to see the glare, because they're at the bottom. Those panels, the top of them are 6 feet off the ground. So if they
And then
chill-
people on, heading south on I-93,
Yeah.
probably see them. All right.
If you remember, they put panels
Does he
down
have a
at the airport.
specific property that he's looking at in Tilton?
Yes.
They put them in Manchester Airport, and they had to remove them
Is
because
it the
of
same one?
shining
that I
lights,
know?
airplane.
Probably.
spots,
Yeah, he gave us
air
in the
traffic.
packet that you got about a month ago, it shows the property.
Yeah, it's in your packet.
Okay.
Why the trash ordinance in 2
Does
places?
everyone agree that Lauren should be here
Yes.
from the beginning on this?
Yes.
All right, so, Gail, we know that she can't be here on the 14th or 7th, so,
Well, she can, yeah, 7th is too soon for a public.
yeah, and the 14th she can't be here. Which, before I get to Atlantic Cable, which with Rick and I have spoken about the advisory committee, and he also would like to just come meet with the board anyway, just to let you know what WRTA is doing. And he's part of the Winnisquam Public Health
Are
regional.
we still talking about a solar garden?
No, we'll arrange another date.
Okay, so
I don't have
notifying the
that
public,
table.
what avenue are we going to use
Have that in there.
to notify the public of this first meeting?
Oh, we put it in,
Everybody?
we can put it in the newspaper, we can do a little ad.
I put it on the town website. I put it on the news, in the newspaper.
Got one in the
Yeah.
newspaper.
Website, newspaper, post it, let's put posters up. Billy's, we can put them up in Billy's, there's various stores we can post them in, the convenience stores are always willing to put posters up.
So is it just going to be he's just coming in to do a presentation
Yep.
and a discussion with the selectmen?
Yep. But they're, trust me, the residents of those areas are gonna wanna hear the discussion, the proposal, and they should know about it.
But do we have to do a mailing to the abutters?
No,
No, but I think we should make sure that we contact individually the members of the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board.
Absolutely. I agree.
I don't care if it's by phone or by email that they have to respond back to, but I'd like them to know.
Conservation and planning?
Conservation and Planning, does anybody think there's another group that we should be that?
No, I think that's
We don't have
particularly
the heritage.
conservation.
Right. Conservation and Planning, right? Zoning Board wouldn't
Well, I would
necessarily.
really like Adari to be here.
He's part of planning. So the 21st or 28th?
Zoning Board wouldn't need to be here, would they? We can let the
let me
zoning
check
board
with
know.
Lauren, and, I mean, it doesn't
I don't
have
think
to
it
be on,
affects the zoning
well, you
board.
want it to be on a Thursday, not a contract day. I'll find out. I'll find out.
Does anybody else hear that?
What the,
The cat?
no, don't hear it.
There's a cat?
It's kids outside.
Oh.
Excuse me, Chairman, do we have to close the public meeting at any time?
I can close it now. We only have to keep it open for 1 hour.
Are we ever going to talk about this?
We can, but I can close the public hearing. Oh, at this time, I'll close the public hearing pertaining to the expenditure of the New Hampshire Department of Transportation Highway Block Grant Fund in the amount of $54,428.79 for new highway construction projects in the town of Tilton. And we can bring
I
that
heard
back to
something.
Joyce. Kids. It's outside, it's not in here.
Before I get to Atlantic Cable, WRTA, I've been talking with Rick on the
Winnipesaukee,
River Trail Association, working on the advisory committee, not bylaws, but just bylaws, I guess. How often they meet and elect a chair and all that. And he would like to come in on the 21st. And in addition, he, through his work with, what's the name of it, Health First, he's also active in the Winnisquam Public Health Agency. You know how they have these public health agencies? You're a member of them, one of them, he was health officer. But anyway, just to give you an update on what they're doing. So what would be is that okay on the 21st?
What about the money?
That's something we're going to discuss when he comes in.
Okay, that's going to be
That's, I
part of
think-
the
That's what the
discussion.
advisory committee does. I mean, we have the money.
What date?
The money's-
I've been asking them to form the advisory committee for
It's the
years.
advisory committee. They already have the money there.
Right. I forgot the makeup of the advisory committee. Isn't one of us supposed to be on that?
Mhm.
I thought so. Okay. So what time do we want them to come in?
Like nominate Peter? If you're watching.
Second.
We'll have to arrange it, because that might also be a night that Lauren, that we'll have that hearing too, so we'll have to.
Right.
What else is on that night?
Lauren,
It may be that we coordinate the solar person that night.
All right, so let's
So
wait
it's
and
not
see.
on the 14th.
I'd like to have just that solar garden that night. Is that the only night he's available?
move them out.
Yeah.
Just move them out.
How about the 14th?
No, you can't have the 14th.
Are you talking about Rick or
September
solar?
14th?
Yeah, Rick.
No, Rick.
Oh, no, he won't be in town.
Oh,
He
okay,
won't be back until the 15th.
okay,
And I said, how about the 21st? And he said, yeah, just let me know the time.
okay. So let's see what we work out with the solar garden, and if they come in on the 21st, and maybe he can come in on the next Thursday. I thought, how long is his
Rick's gonna
presentation?
come in on the 21st.
Huh?
Rick Silverberg is only available on the 21st.
Right, because he travels.
All right, so he gets top billing.
And right now, Solar Garden has committed to the 14th, but we can't get Lauren to do that.
And we need to move him from the 14th because we really want Lauren to be here.
I don't think Rick will be that long, so if we move if we have him come in at, what, 5:30, he'll be here,
Okay?
right? And then we have Solar Garden at 6:30? How does that sound?
Sure.
And then nothing after Solar Garden? I don't want to be here until 10.
If Lauren is
If Lauren,
good for
right.
the 21st.
Right.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds like
Now,
a plan.
here's the question, if she isn't, shall we just have him come in without her and she'll have to watch the movie? Take copious notes?
No, I think she should be there.
I do too, I'm just saying. I just want to know what everybody else thinks. Stick with having Lauren here?
Let's pick a time that
Okay.
she's
Yeah.
available.
All right, that's the board.
Okay,
Pulling this together.
Atlantic Cable. And
They're the ones
Gail-
buying,
Okay. Okay, we have, from the date we received this, the board has 120 days to comment and act on it. If you don't comment and act on it, it automatically
Automatic.
goes into effect, okay? So we have time, but the guy is like calling every day to get it done. And
didn't I see you commented on it?
yes, I sent you some comments, I sent you Jesse's comments, and Tim did the research on the website as the business, checking out the business. I spoke with Kate Miller, who was the attorney for the consortium when they all negotiated this, and I sent you, I believe I sent you comments that I got from another town's attorney. He was given permission to release it. So I think there's a lot to digest that I've sent you.
So is the basic a yay or a nay?
Well, one of the things that Kate Miller said is that you want to make sure that MetroCast has complied with the existing contract. So when I spoke with Ed Merrill, who is the general manager, he gave me all the updated costs, which we have no control over. And I asked him for the statistics of how many, where their head end is, how many miles of new plant they constructed, 1/10 of a mile. Miles of cable plant, 46.6, number of subscribers. And since we don't collect a franchise fee, we don't get their revenue. Let me just double check.
Second, I want everyone to hear this. Second to high taxes in the town of Tilton, the residents are extremely angry at the service that they get from MetroCast.
Right, so can we get out or not?
No, we cannot. Not unless it's
Can we put-
gross.
Can we at least change some of the rules and regulations and stuff? We can't do anything.
Why-
They already
Then why
agreed
are
to
we
it.
even going through the dance here then?
Because all we give them is permission to put their wires in the public right-of-way. That's
However-
all we have really control over.
However, by giving them permission to put the wires up on the pole, we are holding our hands to the fire here and not allowing anyone else to put,
You can have a cable franchise agreement with anybody.
With them?
It doesn't have to, theirs is not
they won't
exclusive.
come if MetroCast is here.
So this is where we have the coverage. Well, people do have options. They can go Dish, they can go with Fairpoint.
Fairpoint doesn't work.
Yeah.
I don't
Or they
have
can
Fairpoint.
go without, like
Or
I
they go
do.
without.
I don't have television.
We didn't give them permission. So we-
Well, then you're missing out on the most important show of the summer,
And
Bachelor in Paradise.
And they did fulfill, the only requirement they had to fulfill on the last franchise agreement was that they gave us money for
Cabling?
cabling for the police station.
That's
It's
true.
about $10,000.
They give
So
us
what
free service.
what are these guys
senior
gonna give
center.
us?
Same thing.
But
Yeah, they're
what are
gonna-
they
Another
giving?
They're gonna honor the
taxpayers.
agreement that we made. We hope.
They're getting, what's their?
They're buying
More
the,
service.
basically, they're buying the agreement that we made with MetroCal, and what we're going through is a process to make sure that they do.
No,
That-
they're buying
that's specific.
MetroCast assets, and with that comes the
Agreement.
the authority for them to keep the wires in the right of way.
But they have to abide by that agreement.
These prices are higher. Hold on a minute. So with that right of going from MetroCast to Atlantic, they also have the right to increase,
They can increase their rates at any time as long as they give notice.
They do it every January.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, this
no,
is
but
as
this
of
is-
August 7th, 2017,
this is already increasing now. This
because
isn't what you
they're,
pay for the package.
oh, I have my bill here. What are you looking at?
I should put my bill. I'm looking at the video internet phone packages.
$161.95
Wow,
a month.
VIP.
Yeah, $169.95 a month.
That's what you have?
Yep.
Wow.
And I have a HD.
I'd stay with dial-up.
I don't think there is any, no such, nobody even knows what a dial is anymore.
Oops.
So what do we have
I do.
120 days to do?
you.
To review the, check them out as a company. They are a good company. It's basically, Kate Miller said that they're not huge, they're like 90.
But what can we change?
Nothing.
So again,
Why are we going through the
Well,
Well,
process?
we want to make sure that the
Make sure-
MetroCast are fulfilling the current franchise agreement.
so we can change things if they're
If
not?
what's currently in the franchise agreement, that they're complying.
So what if
Which
they're
they
not
gave us-
complying?
Then we can make them comply
Yeah,
because
but
they're
what are
not.
they not complying?
But what if they're not?
That's her question. What if they're not complying?
Oh, well,
What do we do?
You can state an objection, but you really have to have something major to
So it
object to.
can be
Yes.
changed, we can get out should they not be
No, we can't get
compliant.
out. You
You can only make them abide by the contract.
Right, you can
It has to be
make-
really
right.
egregious to get out of it.
Like, we didn't have anything that said every year you have to expand the service out so many miles. It does say in there, like, if any new subdivision developments come in, they have to, wherever there's a pole, they're
So
gonna run
maybe,
their wire there.
maybe our new road on Caleb Hill, then they'll bring service out to that area, by March Road and all of that. Because I don't think that there's service up in that area.
Well, what's it? Oh. March Road.
So no one has found anything really egregious in this document or anything? There's just a few points. I saw your question was interesting that you asked, but that just seemed like a,
Average speed of
FYI.
answer for customer service, 8 minutes.
these prices, this list of prices, why do we have this? We don't have any control.
Oh, because the franchise agreement requires that they send us a copy of whatever they send to their subscribers when the
Right,
rates
but
change.
we can't change any of this. So it's an FYI. Okay.
Oh, it says that they do. Oh, no, it does. There is a portion of that they don't go up above, and there's a portion of School Street that they don't go up above.
Really?
Califf and March Road, there's a portion there that they don't cover. Range Road, obviously, there's a portion there.
There
that
was
they don't
nothing in
cover.
that original contract that forced them to cover that?
The other thing that Kate said that 18 of the Lakes Region Consortium communities have reached out to her, so she's giving a group rate. She's not going to charge 18 people to read the same document, because we all got the same document.
That's good.
But if she wanted to review our existing franchise agreement, which she already has a copy, and make recommendations to the board, her hourly rate is $190 an hour, and she figured it would be between 2 and maybe 2 hours
Yeah,
to read it.
I agree.
In reading the one that Bristol got, and it's interesting because the attorney, which is from Gardner, Fulton, and Waugh, raised the same thing that I raised with Kate Miller. I said, we don't, and I checked with Ed Merrill. I said, now, you don't charge us a municipal right-of-way fee. And he says, no, we don't. Because we don't give them a property tax bill. Well, according to Kate Miller, and this attorney saying the same thing, and I've gone round and round and round with this with Lauren and Gary. I kept saying, we went through this whole thing to notify MetroCast so that we can, because we have to treat everyone the same. That's what Fairpoint's lawsuit was about, was equal protection under the law. And she said, no, we don't tax them. Well, Kate said, no, you really should, because if push came to shove, if Fairpoint ever wanted to
Yeah,
make this an issue.
it's not equitable. Okay.
And this one said the same thing.
Yeah, some people get taxed and some don't.
Some do, some don't.
So I think we should, and we don't have to use, we use Avatar, Gary, to do our utility assessing. We don't have to use,
But that's
and we
just
pay
bad for
separately for that.
users.
So we could have another company do our utility assessing or assess this.
Is there a particular reason why they don't want to figure the tax for that utility, or?
Because there's disagreement on the only case law, as you know, Fairpoint's gone all the way to the
Yes.
Supreme Court. The only case law that you have is a BTLA decision. And I think it was the city of Claremont
And it was in favor of?
was in favor of, because that's what Claremont did. They sent a tax bill to their cable company. And they appealed it and went to Board of Tax and Land Appeal, and Board of Tax and Land Appeal said, yeah, you're a utility, you're using the right of way. There's value there.
And it
Your
wasn't
wires, even though you don't own the pole, and we don't care what you pay the owner of the pole for because
Okay.
they have to give permission for you to hang your wire there. And they prevailed, and back at that point, Claremont didn't pursue it any further. They didn't take it up to the Supreme Court, to Superior Court, and then to Supreme Court. So it's a gray area.
Is it? I mean, just.
Well, from a legal standpoint.
There isn't a Supreme Court, Superior Court decision.
Yeah, I mean, if there was.
There's no case law, but
Right,
there
there's
is that
BTLA.
decision, but nobody challenged it and brought it further, so it's okay, but, okay. Does anybody object to getting some estimates for getting somebody else to do the utilities?
Just to do the MetroCast or do everything?
Well, they might as well do all the utilities.
I'm sorry?
Shouldn't they do all the utilities?
Sure, but they kind of have to start from scratch. We paid Gary to set all the values for
Did
this
they
year.
start
In fact,
with his
there's a
values?
letter in your correspondence.
Yeah, I don't see why they need to start from scratch on this. I mean, they're all set in place. It's all,
They're gonna wanna start with
There's
their own
no-
values, set their own values, right?
there's no changes to it. I mean, the companies are what it is. The phone company, the utilities are there. They're, and Gary already went in and assessed all of that. So we already have that.
I think it was like 600 and some thousand.
Right.
It's up there.
So if we already have that, and we go out and get an estimate for, what you said, the legal part of it,
Well, there's two things. There's the reviewing this.
Yeah.
If we want to tax
Well, we're gonna come with a
MetroCast,
lawyer with.
With Kate, since she already has
Right,
everything.
to review that, I would say go with, in with Kate to review the.
right, but we were talking, we were just talking about,
And Kate's gonna say, why aren't you taxing?
right, so we were just talking, what I asked Joyce to do, or suggested to the board, is that we get estimates from other assessors to tax MetroCast.
If you tax MetroCast, they're only gonna go up in the bill to recoup the taxes that were,
Yeah, but it's not that much. It's just for Northfield, and they charge the full 5%, I think.
They're gonna go up no matter
It's only 10 cents. See, I have no idea how they even arrive, how an assessor would arrive, or MetroCast would
10
arrive
cents
at
and how
that
much does the
number.
town of Northfield
10 cents
Yeah,
per
from
customer
that.
per month.
From that tax,
Yeah, how much?
they don't get
revenue do
anything
they
from the,
get
oh, for their franchise fee, I think it's, look in their book, 25,000?
that
It's in
they
the
get?
20s, yeah.
I think it's worth looking into, but, I mean, if 10 cents is 10 cents, but,
It doesn't cost anything to look into it,
well, it might.
but it doesn't cost us anything to inquire, to
Yeah.
get prices and to find out. I mean, if we can get monies in exchange that offsets the 10 cents, and it, you know, it's a savings in your taxes, then it's worth it. But we don't know that, because we've never investigated. So let's do what we need to do to investigate, and I don't know what that is, Joyce, but you probably do.
Okay,
Thank you.
so we have some time.
So, do we,
Oh,
now
and
the
the
next
other-
question is do we want this attorney to read that contract?
Yeah.
What, about $400?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think we should.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, what this other attorney had recommended is that it's not required to have a public hearing, but it'd be nice if we, when you do vote on this resolution, to publicly notice it on your agenda and have take comment at a
I'll
public
let
hearing.
people know.
Okay. I do know that Joe Jessman, he worked very hard on this.
Oh, you did.
And Ed Merrill said he'd be happy to come speak with you if you have any questions about the service or the prices or the actual operations. And, but if it was anything about the agreement, it would have to be the guy that's been calling me, Francis Bradley.
So if he wants to come to the town and we could notice the residents of the town of Tilton and say, hey, bring your complaints, Ed Merrill's gonna be here. And he's gonna listen to all your complaints about MetroCast. I mean, that's a service to the town, we should do that. I'm telling you, there's not a lot of happy people.
Is that what he would
No,
expect?
I never wanna.
I think there's even a couple of Facebook pages just made specifically against MetroCast.
Or would he be blindsided by that?
Oh, a public hearing? It's got to know
Oh,
it.
no, just notice that he's gonna be here, and if you'd like to come and share a complaint or
Well,
two.
can
or-
we let him know that we're
Oh,
gonna?
yeah, absolutely.
Because we haven't, we've heard a lot of complaints. I mean,
I know from my own personal experience, my only major complaint is the cost.
Yeah.
But, anytime I've had a problem with anything, it's been no problem. I do pay the $3.95 a month for the wiring, only because I have so many devices that feed off this thing. And, but they've resolved everything, and,
well, I've heard several customer service complaints, myself included. I think we should notify him and notify the public if they wanna bring their concerns.
Yes? Yes? Yes.
Absolutely.
and he gave me his cell number.
Oh, give me that. Please. Yes. I'm gonna sneak it out of your desk.
Moving along.
Okay, so that's where we are with that, so,
Could you read that off? I want to see if it's the same number.
Would you say that number was?
no.
Actually, it's right here,
Wait,
with
is
his
that
cell
it?
phone.
Oh, he has it?
Which number
Oh,
is
good,
it?
so
The one
he
that
didn't, I didn't give it
begins
away.
with
Right
the,
here. Look at this, it's going right in my
There are
book.
some cases.
Right
where
in my
you-
phone.
About, taxes.
Oh, yes.
Joyce, were you just talking about New Hampshire law?
That's a good guy.
New
All right,
Hampshire case law?
moving
for
right along.
Taxes? Yeah,
For the taxes, yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Next.
Okay. What did we do about Bittern Lane? We're just not gonna do anything, just wait to hear from her?
We're gonna make sure that Al understands that and Dari know that the project is now stalemated. She's not gonna move forward, which means no permits will be issued from this town.
We're gonna wait for her letter.
Correct?
Correct.
You can't give her a building permit if there's no driveway permit.
Okay, she's gonna send a letter, right, okay.
The warping.
I do believe that we should officially rescind the driveway permit that was given for her to access onto Bittern Lane.
She already has,
She was given a driveway permit by the then Public Works Director to access from her property onto Bittern Lane. The state is requiring us to apply for a driveway permit to go from Bittern Lane to Route 3.
okay, it was my understanding that what Dennis thought he was giving her was permission to get onto Route 3 and 11, and that's when the state got involved and said, no, that's gotta come from the town. Because she already has a curb cut. She already has a access to Bittern Lane.
She's never used, where did she get that?
Because she's got a driveway to her property.
Okay,
They used to have a building back there.
What's the house at?
Yeah,
no, there was a farm on that property
okay.
that was long ago removed before anyone purchased the back property.
It was
Yeah.
just burnt 2 years ago.
Oh no, it's burned longer than that. MB Tractor is sitting on top of it.
I went to, when they burnt it, just 2 years
So
ago.
the house, what was
Yeah.
left of the shell of the house, yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
but she, I don't, there's,
Well, I mean, there's a whole-
all I'm saying is I think that piece of paper that Dennis signed was from Bittern Lane onto Route 3 and 11. It
Let's
wasn't,
make sure.
it wasn't for her to use Bittern Lane, to come onto Bittern
So
Lane.
does she have a property permit to use Bittern Lane?
No, there's a lot of people that don't have curb cuts, don't have
What I'm
driveway
saying is she
permits.
would not have been grandfathered. That property isn't that old to be grandfathered from having a driveway permit to access the town road. Let's look into it.
Okay. All right, and then the final thing is, let me just move down to new business. I've got the
It's only an hour and a half. Come on.
contract. Well, trash is important. If you want to just empower me to make all the decisions, I'll be more than happy to do that.
Joyce, I have every faith in you.
So Jesse dropped this off today. There's 2 places that their selectmen inserted things, so you'll have to initial there. Jesse's gone over this 1,000 times. And they have the check, they're gonna cut the check tomorrow. So he would like it, and we just
So they
spoke.
just want pending town meeting approval. That was very nice of them.
What? Oh, you got copies of, oh, you
Yep.
gave them copies, good. And I asked him about the vehicle, and he said that the way they're gonna set it up is that they'll have a drop box here in Tilton, and that their patrol officers will drop things off. And if he has to go up to Sanborn for something, they'll just use one of the patrol cars.
Okay,
So
I'm
there's
good
the
with it.
original. So make sure you all initial on those.
All right,
two.
but so here's the thing. We haven't made the deal with Jesse, have we?
No, but he said he doesn't want the car. He said he would take a stipend.
But we haven't settled on that, have we?
No.
He called and talked to me a little bit today and talked to Tim also. That he would have a vehicle, he would like a car available as PD, doesn't want one to take home.
Right. That's what he told me.
So,
Does he not have one now?
But I don't think
No,
what
they're on the-
what he gets for payment will affect this, what you work out.
well, if we don't come to terms with him,
But I thought
Why would we
you kind
ma-
of talked about it already, so
Right, but
that's
we
why
don't
you
have-
proceeded to go forward with this.
Yeah, it was just the,
It was just a discussion, there was nothing set,
we
there was
needed
nothing
to wait
agreed
to see if they were actually gonna sign it and say, yes, we really do want this service from him. And then, actually, it was actually said, once they sign it and they want this service from them, we were gonna talk to Jesse and say, okay, Jesse, we need to negotiate your
Okay, I
portion
thought
of
you
it.
had, when you spoke about that, he had told you what he wanted.
He did, but we don't,
We didn't agree.
we didn't, we couldn't talk about
We
it.
listened.
We listened and we said, oh, you know, he told us what he wanted. Now comes the dance where you negotiate that.
So do you want to have him come in next week when Peter's here and we can talk about it?
You know, I would think that that would be the thing to do. I mean, I have no problem signing this whatsoever. I want to work out the thing with Jesse first. Make sure, because that may, you know, if we have a car, make sure that there's a car available for him to use right now.
Oh, we didn't-
Just him? I'm confused.
There isn't always going to be a car for him
Right.
to use, from what I
Right.
understand,
That's
so
exactly right.
he'll have to put in for mileage.
Right. So then if they puts in for mileage, then this increases,
And if
or
we,
this changes.
if we could ask him to preferably email what he would like before the meeting, that way I have time to think about a response.
I didn't look through it, I'll look at it again.
Right.
What's the provisions if something happened to Jesse? Who's going to be responsible for continued prosecution service?
Why?
It won't be.
Well,
What happens if we don't have
right.
one?
Well, are we
That's a good
respon-
point.
Are we, you know, we
Yeah,
got
it's
contracted
actually-
to provide it, and all of a sudden Jesse,
Well, we need one anyway,
It's in-
so we would need,
but what would we do with all their cases that are out hanging? Do we have to hire an attorney to cover that?
Right,
for
if we
them?
choose not to
It's
hire an
the,
attorney.
it's be under the control and direction of the town of Tilton and the town of Tilton's chief
So
of
it would
police,
just be like
or
a-
his or her designee.
so it would be like our own cases. If
So
something
we-
happened, we
we-
would
we
have
would-
to
Would
find
it?
somebody else.
Yeah,
And it
Why
says
wouldn't it?
specifically attorney prosecutor.
right.
So we would have to hire a new attorney prosecutor.
No, or get Chris to fill in while Jesse's gone.
No,
That's an
he's
attorney
not an
prosecutor.
attorney.
He is.
So should we change that?
Who?
Oh,
Oh, I think it's Chris, okay.
yeah, me too.
That's what.
He's not even here.
Yeah.
But we don't know if he would do this.
And we couldn't
So
have
you're
a-
talking,
If
you're
something-
talking if something happened permanently, or something happened
Okay.
temporarily, like he was on vacation or
Well,
something?
let's say Jesse gets injured and he's out for 8 months, and we have to have an attorney prosecutor, as we have this agreement, okay? So will we have to go and hire an attorney prosecutor at $150 an hour or something to fill in for Jesse during the time that he is off? Perhaps some injury or, you
Well,
know,
what would we hire for us?
but we could use a police prosecutor.
Oh, okay. So
Okay,
can we change?
But this would require an attorney prosecutor, which would mean we'd have to hire an official attorney, which could be $150 an hour to cover our contract. I'm just not sure about that. It's a question I have.
That's a good point.
I think they're ready to cut a check tomorrow, don't you, aren't they?
Yes, that's what he said, they want to cut the check tomorrow.
You know, how's the town protected from,
Can we change the wording?
Well, this is the contract that Jesse wrote. I thought he gave that to you already, when he came in.
yeah, I missed that part of it, and that's why I have a question on it. I mean, we didn't discuss it, it was presented to us, and now discussion on it. You know, we don't want to get stuck in a position where
Oh, no, I
we could
agree.
get really...
I just thought that, it was my understanding
God
that it had all
forbid.
been approved, and then I was out of the picture.
If
so-
we had an employee, regardless of their position, and they were injured in such a way that they were out of work for more than a month,
Hire a temp.
at what point would we stop
That's your
paying them their wage.
What's the issue with changing the wording?
You have to go back to them to,
Well,
So,
yeah, then
I
we
like,
should.
I have a question out there. So at what point, would we continue to pay their wage as long as they are out? Or is there some point they'd be on?
long-term disability.
They'd be on, for a town employee, they would go on short-term disability, or they'd go on workers' comp if it was a work-related injury, and they'd be able to supplement their earnings with paid time off. If they're gonna be out for
Right, so my
26
point
weeks, they go
is,
into long-term
if we had somebody
disability.
that was out for a long term, their wage would be available to us
66.66% would,
to pay.
someone else, correct. But not on, yes, on workers' comp as well, that is correct. Because our insurance,
Well, let's say the
Pays the employee
injury wasn't
directly.
on workman's comp, they weren't injured here, they injured at home.
Or FLMA.
But I think we should ask Jesse tomorrow.
Let's say Jesse went on FLMA.
FMLA is just a safety net, and by our policy, it's unpaid, but the employee can use their paid time off if they want.
And then so at
Or
that point,
if they qualify for disability, then they,
we would have to hire an attorney prosecutor.
I don't think that we would go backwards and hire a prosecutor that wasn't an attorney, though, would we?
Well, we have to do it to cover for Samerton too, so.
And what would we-
yeah, what would the town do? You'd have to have, the chief would have to appoint one of the patrol officers to be the prosecutor.
We could temporarily
Not
do
with this
that.
agreement.
No, and you can't anyway, because with I don't think you can with the county attorneys now, the felonies up at Superior Court.
Other towns are still doing it.
They are?
Yes, they are.
I thought they were
You would
hiring.
hire an attorney specifically to handle those cases.
I think
I
they're
was just gonna
hiring
say-
an
Or they would-
attorney to
Because that's
handle
what
those
was the-
But
specific
they would be
cases.
prosecuted on that level.
Right.
Not on this level.
That's correct. But you could always get, your neighboring ones too.
Perhaps there could be a provision in there that in the event of, that it would be responsible for.
I would ask Jesse, in the event of, can we just delay it for 7 days and figure it out? It's a good thing, we're ready to sign it, it's just that's a good point to bring up.
I don't see it as an issue. If we were without an attorney prosecutor, I can't see us going back to,
How much would that cost us? We could go in the hole and be subsidizing Samerton's prosecution. That's what I'm concerned
So,
about.
how could you? They don't have that many cases.
How much does it cost to get a temporary attorney prosecutor for 2 towns?
And it could be immediate.
Call
Could
your
be
neighbor.
$150 an hour. Plus phone calls.
Yeah.
And we've got a contract for them for a certain amount. If they get a big
When-
case, it could exceed it.
When he's
do you
out
understand the
for-
question to ask Jesse, Joyce?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, let's get the answer
You'll
from
probably know
our
what I'm
attorney.
talking about.
Right, because he has the other in Franklin pick up his cases sometimes.
Should we ask him to come in next week?
No.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll just, yeah.
Or
And as Ashley
or
said,
submit something.
have him, well, I think both, have him submit his proposal pre-meeting, and then have him come in next week and we'll finalize both.
And should we kind of discuss something, I don't know if it needs to be non-public, that maybe we could even send to him first so he has an idea of what we're thinking?
Well, Joyce can tell him that.
No, like we could tell him in this is what we're thinking, what are you thinking?
Oh,
As opposed
He's
to
already
him.
given us a
he's
proposal.
already given us a proposal.
So should we then,
Counter?
right, in this email or however you're gonna contact him,
Oh, I'll just call.
maybe we could just tell him, this is what we're thinking. Set the bar.
So in the meantime, meantime, if he's got anything scheduled starting tomorrow and next week, what's he supposed to do?
He shouldn't, because we haven't signed it.
I'm just asking.
Well, he shouldn't, because we haven't
Okay.
signed it. He shouldn't agree to any cases until we've signed it.
So we're gonna hang on to this till next week?
Okay, so you understand all that?
Yep, okay, and my final thing is,
You said that was your final thing.
That's her classic
What's the final things here?
motto,
we finally got,
Final thing.
last thing.
we got the, did I bring the file up? On our tax deed person. We got a return of service from our police department and said, well, what did the individual say? And he said nothing, blew it off. And we also got the
What are you talking about?
Our deed.
deliverable.
We took our deed, the property we took
Oh,
behind Walmart.
And there is a bank involved, a mortgage involved. So the next step is, because he's, we've gone above and beyond to reach out to him, to have him come and speak with the selectmen. And,
so have they been evicted?
well, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna, I have to use the forms, the court forms, and I've got to get a check and get all that stuff to pull all that together.
Does everybody want to go through that process?
Yeah, so I have all that, I just have to do it.
Do it.
Go for it.
Like doing that. But at least
Sad.
I feel
Try
good
and
that
work with people and
we've gone,
they don't even want to show up.
no,
And we've worked with this person for about 6
Yeah.
years now. Did you,
that was the last, I just wanted to make sure you knew that was the next step. And
Thank
then, at the same time, we can proceed with the sale, because that's gonna be 90 days from the date of renoticing and what the amount is. And
did you do any work on last week, a couple weeks ago, when we mentioned the island and maybe proceeding to see where they're at as far as whether or not they want to keep the island with Northview?
I did not.
Okay.
They have expressed, although they have a board of selectmen, that
They have-
they do not want.
Now, that was in the meeting of the 17th, right? That's in that.
Yeah,
Fundamentals.
when we were talking about the smoking and all that, we said, would you follow up and see
Yep.
where that's at? What is it, do they still, want to, because they have expressed to us in the past that they do, and that, that there's a possibility that we're interested to pursue that.
Have we scheduled the cleaning of the heating ducts before the heat's turned on?
No, I've not done that.
Can we bring up one more subject about cleaning?
Hmm?
Could we possibly get the windows cleaned in here?
Don't we have that scheduled yearly?
Exterior?
You're supposed to.
Not exterior, interior. Did you see you can't even see out the window because of all the contracting and everything?
When we
It's all,
have them done, they do them inside and out, don't they?
I know they've done them outside once since I've been here.
yeah.
Well, let's find out what that
But I
agreement
don't
is.
believe,
They should be doing them inside and out.
at least the first floor outside, if not the upper floor.
And we're all over the Civil War monument fence. Limbo?
It's still in the boat.
Okay.
But we have the pieces,
So if we can't find anybody to
yes.
cast those pieces,
Yep.
and we have to replace the fence, is the insurance company going to give us more money?
They gave us to repair those pieces based upon that gentleman's estimate.
Okay, but since that, obviously we're not able to get in touch with the person, whatever happened. So that's not working. We can't find anyone else to repair it. We need to fix the fence that we have insurance on. And if the only way we can fix it is to replace it,
Well, it's only, well, the other companies that expressed interest said that they would rather it'd be cheaper just to replace the whole fence.
Did
No.
we,
This was the only gentleman that said that, oh, if you have the molds, I can redo the posts.
Exactly.
is it like cast iron? Is that what we're talking about?
It's cast iron, so it would have to be either brazed back together or
Is that
it's wrought
something-
iron cast.
Well, yeah, so,
They would just
and
put
I
up,
assume the new fence would be cast aluminum.
yes.
Okay. So what were those estimates for the new fence compared to what the insurance gave us?
I don't know, I would have to pull those out.
That, what, replacing the whole fence
Yeah.
with the new fence? No.
What about Karen's husband? Ober, Steve Ober.
Does he do casting?
David
Why don't we
David
talk
Court?
to him?
Does David Court, will he, he's, Mike knows
I
something.
think he does do casting. I'm about 80% sure.
Well, let's get in touch with Steve and let's get in touch with David Court.
Okay.
Because we should get it fixed. I mean, the other issue too is we're talking about one section of fence, but if you look at the entire fence, you have sections of it that are underground,
Yes.
and that's cast iron. So you can just imagine what it looks like if you dug it up.
And
So I
also,
probably
it's
wouldn't.
pretty messed up on the
In the
side,
back.
by the house.
Yeah, they have broken that fence.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right, so,
It just looks horrible with that section out.
I'd even consider removing a section from somewhere else and putting it in there for now.
Yeah.
Does it go up behind the house too?
I talked to Brock about that, and he said there really isn't any section there unless you take one of the obvious sections that you see. Oh, one, the house is broken, so, you know.
It's, you know, it's an architectural fixture, and once those are gone,
Oh, I know,
Again, and
so,
I
yeah.
hate to see something else put in its
All right.
place where we have
All
the
right.
mold.
So if we can contact those individuals and not let it lie, that would be excellent. So, do you have anything more for us, Joyce?
no, and just, you want a public hearing notice put up for next week for
Please.
spending money from the special detail,
Yes.
and that's to buy everything that's on his,
Plus the installation for those scanners and e-tickets.
okay.
Hope this doesn't make it too easy to give out tickets.
So
Okay,
budgeting is, I just wanted to make a comment, budgeting has started, and I would like the board to think about requiring our department heads to straight line their budgets, no increases this year. The only exception would be the
PD.
police department where we have implemented the new dispatch. If we subtract the cost of the new dispatch out and just,
the town's participating, you mean?
yep. I mean, I'd just like to see the bottom line be the same as it was for this year. I think Belknap County is going to
Certainly a
really,
goal.
is going to suck it to us.
I'm surprised at the number of things that we purchased this year that were not on the budget at all, and the amount spent on it. So there's plenty of extra pork in that budget that should be trimmed. That's horrible,
I'd
the
like to
amount
see
of
it
extra.
Well, some of it came from reserve funds, so, yes, I agree with you,
Either
though.
budget, you know, these things should be in the budget. We should know what we're going to buy and plan for a lot of the stuff. And then just, well, do we have enough money for it? Yeah, well, let's get it. And
So just think about that, for our budget discussions,
Five.
flatlining.
Okay.
All right,
or lessening.
selectmen's reports.
I was just reading this letter from the DOT that is giving us, says we're sending enclosed notice to organizations in an effort to encourage your participation regarding transportation projects planned between 2019 and 2028 throughout the state of New Hampshire.
TAC.
Yep. So, and that you meet with the, hosted by the Department of Transportation, your Executive Council, and the Regional Planning Commissions. We invite you, your residents, communities to actively participate in this meeting. And they have one that's going to be close to us with Joe Kenny. But it's on a Thursday night, October 5th. We should at least try to get some of these roads and, drainage and things like that. that are-
Winter Street.
Is
know.
Winter Street gonna be paved? That's what Brock told me.
It is going to be paved, but when?
They have to
They're
He
Waiting
said
waiting
for
for the-
drainage.
he said like in a month.
They're going to be, it's waiting for the water pipes to be put in.
I noticed that no one from the town of Tilton attended the June meeting of TAC,
I send them to you and to Brock.
and he's our representative, right? I sent him an email to let me know if he wasn't going to be attending the scheduled meeting. I think it's in September. TAC is important, and this is from TAC.
But I think that we should,
This is where your TAC representative
Right.
should come to the board and say, okay, we have an opportunity to put in for these, it's for the 10-year plan. Doesn't mean it's going to get done, it just means you get into the 10-year plan, which means it's better than,
but the louder you make this, your voice heard,
Yes.
you're at the 10-year, you make a presence at that meeting and you're going to be heard. Particularly with Joe Kenny. I mean, he's a man of his word. And a 10-year plan, we really need to have some of this, like the box culverts up there on, is that Packer Brook?
Packer Brook, where it goes under the road?
Under the road by the Citgo?
Tilton doesn't own that box culvert. The state of New Hampshire does.
That's what I'm talking about. Those are the projects that we should be trying to get fixed right now.
That's upsetting that.
Well, once you get on the 10-year plan, there's no guarantee, and once the projects go out, there's a process where some are eliminated that the public isn't involved in.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you. I mean, we have more luck, I think, going to our representatives and showing them the absolute hideous.
Presently, one thing that we need
That's
to
why
look
Winter
at
Street's getting done, I'm sorry.
is the curve up here before the Cumberland Farms that's on the riverside. Those trees, you see the little skinny branches that come up. However, where they go into the wall, they're trees this big around, and the bricks are all buckling out. The guardrail is washed out in sections of that road. That road is washing out and damaged. That whole section of the road needs to be.
Now, that's something we need to bring to the attention of our representatives. That's not a 10-year plan project. In 10 years, that road will go from what you're saying, right?
Yeah, they need to do some rebuilding, and I think we should also send a letter to DOT that they need to properly trim that and perhaps treat the vegetation that's growing through the wall, so
Good point.
guardrail's broken now too.
I gotta tell you, I avoid Winter Street at all costs, and I have to drive it now in a bus. So,
Oh.
I'm telling you, downhill,
Blank.
I'm lucky I still have my own teeth. 'Cause it's tough.
Pat, do you have anything else?
I do. The railing on the ramp here,
It's still loose.
way loose. Way loose. It just scared me to pieces when I went down the ramp the other day and held on to the right side going down. It is way too loose for my comfort
Going down, yes.
on the right-hand side. And they put in larger bolts, and it's way too loose for me. And I think that's really going to scare somebody. I think that we really need to do something about
Ashley?
it.
Well, you ended up bringing up Winter Street, which I was gonna bring up, because it's just horrible. Can someone remind me where we're at with the police station committee? Because I just want to make sure
We don't have one yet.
Yeah, we haven't picked the site. We're just waiting for the reports to come in, and then I think we can pick the site. Choose our committee to report back to us. I was looking at those blueprints. That committee's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, and look at
Do
the
you
time,
have-
it's
I know,
September
that's why I'm
already.
like-
I can't find them. They may be in my office. Remember I had them all folded and by date?
I don't know.
I thought they were up on the stage.
As soon as
They
I
were
get,
up on the
they
stage.
could be back there in the stuff, but
Or in
as
the
soon as I
drawer
get
in
the
the file.
bookcase and I can sort through,
Oh,
I might find them. I don't know.
In the top drawer in the file.
okay.
There's just, it's, I mean,
Yeah, I
It
was
should
waiting
be
for
in
the...
your office, one copy should be in your office on the bottom where you used to, on the bottom drawer, in the file. The last file
I think
cabinet.
that's where I got them. I'm sure Gary can print out new ones. I should have
they
had
gotta
to-
be here. The price, you
I
can't
know
find
they're
them.
here.
They're probably up in the, I mean, it's everywhere.
I had 4 versions.
It's up there, I'm sure it is.
But mine weren't rolled, mine were folded.
Oh, I don't know. What I'm seeing is rolled.
There's one,
Oh, yeah, the only ones I've seen is rolled.
Are they in the drawer in the desk?
Oh, and a bin on the desk.
What bin?
Is there a bin on the desk next to the keyboard, or is that my imagination?
No, there's no bin.
Okay.
All right, John, do you have anything for us tonight?
The fellow from Josh from Stonehenge went up, took a look at the rocks around the island. I haven't heard back from the 2 other people. I'm just gonna keep plugging away at it. I want to see at least something to set the rocks into place, to have it look and do that, and work with Joyce on seeing what we can do for,
with Northfield.
with Northfield.
With that in mind, we have a reserve fund, and I believe the language for that is for engineering
I think it is.
only.
Right.
If John finds a viable way of doing this, that isn't going to require that, should we think of dissolving it or changing the language that would allow us to go forward with the project? So we'd use those monies.
Yeah, for maintaining the, I think we might need to add something in that.
So either way, there's going to be something at town meeting, hopefully.
Well, you've seen these wetlands permits that come in. I mean, you have to have an engineer to...
Not necessarily. It
Not
depends
necessarily.
on what type of work is being
Right.
performed, and if you're doing disturbance of the water flow or things like that. But a repair to put things back into position is different.
It is different. It's not new.
My name.
Depends on the scope.
Put it in the computer. We never-
Yeah, ideally, yeah, we should. It would be nice to go and have all footings and all that done properly for it. But
Well,
we're
they-
talking
when we-
$250,000 just for the point of the island.
Well, you were there that day when, I can't remember her name, the DES person.
Okay, so that, yeah, I'm just plugging away at it. The end of the concert series over.
No.
And I talked to, I went down there, everybody just thought it was great. It was perfect year for all the concerts. They didn't have any rainouts or anything, and it was very well attended. It's become a big fixture in the town, and that was it, 25
They love the picnic tables.
years. And that's all I have,
All right.
except one announcement. The Laconia Indian Historical Association is having their powwow this weekend. Everybody is invited. You don't have to be a Native American to get up there, learn how to do some different crafts and dance and just
Is that up in
experience it.
Sandmerton still?
Up in Sandmerton. Free
I have my
parking.
war paint.
I think it's,
Gorging.
yeah.
Yeah, I went one year. I really enjoyed it.
And, so everybody, I think the entrance fee is $6 for the weekend.
Oh, wow.
So, be there.
I just have a quick announcement. So when I was in Sandmerton at that meeting, and this is unusual, but I just feel I need to, I had so many people come up to me concerned about my health. The first couple, it was, it was just, oh, isn't that nice? But I know a lot of people in Sandmerton, and so many of them came up, they were so concerned, thinking that I was on my deathbed. So I just want people to know that I'm not in ill health. They were also,
You look pretty good.
well, thank you, but they were also
Still has that kick.
associating that with the understanding that because of my health, that I was not going to run for selectman again in 2019. So I just want everybody to know, I'm in excellent health, and I'll decide whether or not I'm going to run for selectman again in the late winter and early spring of 2019.
Woo!
So until then, please don't worry about me, but thank you. It was so strange. So, anything else?
Well, it was better, to go along with that. Yesterday, somebody said, well, you have a job now, Pat, you're not interested in the Board of Selectmen anymore. Yeah,
That's
so much for
strange.
taking a target off my back.
That's strange. All right, anything else tonight?
No,
She had to sign these.
Meeting,
motion to adjourn.
Amen.
second?
Second.